You know, at half court, or at halftime, you get 30 seconds to make a layup, a free throw, and a three-pointer, and then a half-court shot.
The best thing in all of sports. The best 30 seconds in all of sports, some say.
Yes, and he hit the half-court shot, but they wouldn't pay him the $10,000 because his foot was on the line. Half-court. His toe was on the line. They wouldn't pay this, so the insurance wouldn't pay the $10,000 because his foot had to be fully behind the half-court line, and he made it.
Mizzou would pay because Mizzou has gumption.
Well, no, I mean they would pay. They wouldn't take it out of the NIL though. Don't be rushing the court.
Dennis is just smart, baby.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is not on the topic for today, but I kind of feel like, you know, we could almost do like a weekly Rob Parker dumb take, like from Fox Sports Radio. Like I think we could do a weekly dumb take Rob Parker.
Hey, weekly Rob. It's your weekly Rob.
It's your weekly Rob Parker. And he, because he had the take that Andy Reid should be fired or should resign because this is a 2-year collapse for this Chiefs team. It's been 2 years in the making, this awful collapse of losing in the Super Bowl, trying to win a three-peat. So he thinks Andy Reid is done and should resign. That was one of them.
What's that mean for the Bills or the Ravens or the 30
other? A great question.
30 other.
They're ascending. They're on an ascension because the Bills finally got past the divisional round, so they are heading on an upward trajectory.
I'm assuming he's okay with Lamar and Harbaugh, though. Shockingly, that seems
probably that's
normal.
fine. They're not descending. They're not on this collapse over this 3-year collapse for the Chiefs. You win in regulation, you have to win in overtime, then you lose by 18 points. It's clearly heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But then yesterday he had his long rant about how awful Dennis Gates is for not letting the kids have fun, and he's ruining college kids' experience for not letting them rush the floor, and you're taking it and just come. How you never get a chance to do that as a kid. You're Missouri. You finally beat a top team like that, and you won't let the kids rush the floor. That may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hey, jackass, it's already happened this year once. And they're getting fined.
Well, and by the way, they've beaten 3 top 5 teams this year.
Right, one on the road.
One on the road, Florida. But the point remains.
But they already stormed the court.
They've already done it once. And by the way, Missouri was the favorite in this game, Rob. Like you're Missouri. You mean the team that's going to be ranked in the top 10?
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, that was – and I saw that come across my timeline, and I'm like – it's just screaming and yelling, but having no idea what you're actually talking about.
Imagine not knowing ball that much.
I mean, especially to say that Andy Reid is on a 2-year collapse and should resign. But whatever, we can maybe do that. But that was part of the money. That said, it goes to NIL, which reminded me that because that's something that Dennis Gates talked about in the press conference on Wednesday night, which was we need that money for NIL. It's a $250,000 fine. They already got fined $100,000. They got fined $100,000 for storming the court against KU. They would be fined $250,000. You do it again. Vandy's been fined $850,000 this year alone for rushing the court. Vandy has, because they've rushed the court they rushed the field. So it's one full academic year.
Wow.
Football and basketball. They rushed the field in football, and they have had 2 court stormings. So football, the first offense was $100,000. Second offense is $250,000. Third offense is $500,000. They have been fined $850,000 Vandy has for rushing the field, storming the court, storming the field, whatever it is.
I'm team you get one. The $100,000 one, I'm team you get one. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Missouri against Kansas, fine. $100K. You what player's that getting you? That's getting you Jason Anderson or Sterling Holmes.
You're damn right.
$250 is getting you a Dylan Michaels. That you're not rushing for because you want to keep your Dylans.
Yeah, $500 is getting you Jack Johnson.
Yes, and you need your Jack.
Yes, absolutely. He also mentioned, Dennis Gates did in the postgame about, well, we need to start sort of expecting this. Because that's part of it, too. Like, Jerome Tang 2 years ago said you get one. All right, you storm the court against Kansas, you get one. This is now the expectation here. Okay, you got your your court storm, that's awesome, enjoy it. You get one. No more doing this because it should be expected. And I think from Dennis Gates' standpoint, it's like, you rushed the floor against Kansas, and he wanted them to rush the floor.
Yeah.
He talked about it that when the PA announcer came on and said, "Do not rush the floor," that Dennis Gates got mad and said, "I almost went over and grabbed the microphone to tell them, no, rush the floor. Please storm the court." Okay, storm the court,
Hey,
please.
I sauntered onto the court.
Yeah, right.
I didn't rush it, Jason, because I was at that game. I sauntered onto the court.
So it's even more to the dummies' take of like Dennis Gates wanted them to do that and enjoy that. Now start to expect it.
Yes.
Now, all right, you're at this position. Start to expect it. You went to Florida and won the game. You now beat Alabama. You were favored. You won the game. You won by freaking 12 points against Alabama.
Yeah.
You put 110 on the board. So thought that was interesting. But we're here at the golf show, which is all that to bring up the fact that we're at the golf show.
Yes.
Yes. Obviously. With the
you
cool
can
booths
storm the
going on.
court here.
You can. You can storm the Overland Park Convention Center.
In a fun way.
Yes, that's right. You can have a lot of fun doing it that way. But yes, it is the Overland Park Convention Center and going on today through Sunday here at the golf show. So we'll be here today till 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and then Mick Schaefer will join us at 12:30.
I might be here till 4.
You'll be here till 4.
That's
I think that's the
I see
conversation
the bar hasn't set up yet, so once that bar sets up,
the conversation you were having is that you're not leaving till 4. Matt Derrick will join us at 11 o'clock. Did you watch the hockey last night?
Yes, I did.
I did too.
Amazing.
It was really cool.
It was amazing until the result was the result that I didn't want. But
fine with it. It was an amazing game. It was an awesome game. And if I was way more invested in hockey, I might have been more devastated. But I just enjoyed the experience. Nothing really to watch last night. And I'm like, you know what? This is on. Heck yeah. Let me sit back in it. I hope it's a good one. And it was fantastic. It was, end to end and a lot of action, hitting, fast paced.
Of course. I
never out of reach. It was always with either tied or within one goal the whole time going into overtime. It was great. Whether, obviously I would have preferred the United States to win, but just the overall drama was fantastic. I didn't think I'd get that much of enjoyment out of watching hockey over the last week or so, and I have in the two United States-Canada matchups.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And again, if I was from Sweden, I would say, yeah, what a game. Again, still, what a game. It was awesome, and you're happy to see the USA, back and at least on this stage and playing good hockey overall. It was a bummer that was Matthew Tkachuk couldn't get back in the game. He was out since the second period, or maybe it was even the first.
He played 6.5 minutes last night.
Yeah, didn't play a ton, but again, no excuses. It's hockey. I mean, it's a physical sport. We know this. There were some great plays. Was it number 74? Sluven, is that his last name?
Yeah.
Dude was making phenomenal defensive play after defensive play. Going full on planking at one point to stop a shot on goal. The goalie of Canada, was it Bennington? I believe was his name. The goalie of Canada had just
been much maligned throughout the tournament. And
well, first two periods
has an amazing overtime.
Well, yeah, the first two periods I loved USA's chances, and then the third period he kind of shored up a little bit, and then overtime, dude was absolutely nails, just stop after stop. No, what a great game. I was doing the Casey Mavs coaches show last night, and for the first period we were there, and a lot of the players are Canadian, so like half are Canadian, half are American, and so we were having fun going back and forth with that.
That's really
cool. But yeah, man, I like it. I'm always going to root hard for USA. So for me, no matter the sport, it could be curling. I'm always like you're getting a USA chant from me, but. Yeah, it was very enjoyable to watch, even for a guy like myself who's not traditionally a massive hockey dude.
Yeah, I'm not a hockey fan, but I'm like you. If you have the American flag there, I'm going to find myself rooting for it. So the Olympics, sports that I don't watch, Olympic sports that I don't pay attention to, like you mentioned curling. I love curling during the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
I'll watch hockey if there's a United States jersey on it. I mean, obviously, the biggest fan for me in soccer is the United States men's and women's national team.
Yes.
Obviously, sporting a fan of theirs, but my original fandom came with rooting for the national team.
100%.
That was my introduction really to soccer. I know the Wizards were in town, but I really wasn't a soccer fan at all. And then it became, all right, let me watch this women's national team win the World Cup. Yeah. This is pretty awesome. And then you get introduced, and it's like, okay, let me check out the Wizards. Let me check out sporting. Never got into the Premier League, never chose a team or anything, so that was difficult.
Well, why would I? Well, I'm not from the UK.
I know.
I'm not German. Well, a little bit. I'm a little French.
Bundesliga.
Yeah, I'm not a Bundesliga guy. Like,
La Liga,
the La
the
Liga.
Premier League, or the
but
you got all those different to choose from. But a lot of people just like, all right, I'm going to choose this particular team. I tried to choose a team for like 3 weeks. It was Liverpool. Yeah. And then I watched like 3 games, and I'm like, I don't have the passion to continue
I don't care
to
enough.
watch it.
I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. to watch this.
Right. But I'll watch the hockey last night. It was great. It was fun. And then I'll go back to and it's look, maybe it catches on and people watching go, now let me watch some NHL this year and maybe
or the KC Mavs,
or the KC
who
Mavs,
have been incredible, 10-1-1 over the last 12 games, first in the Mountain Division.
And honestly, like, I'm going to take little man to a game, because he was watching the game and he was like, he's like, are they hitting like that all the time?
Yes.
Like, he's like, oh my, these are big hits. I'm like, yeah. But I was like, I know we don't watch hockey very often, Bubba, but it's a pretty fun sport. When
Hockey's
you go to
badass to watch.
When you go to a game, it's even more enjoyable. So now we're going to head out to. So that is something that is an impact, and something I was thinking about last night. It's like, all right, so at least from that standpoint, what it did is it got my son exposed to it.
Yeah.
Which then now he wants to go to a Mavs game. Let's go check out a Mavs game here in town, and let's go watch hockey.
First responders night tomorrow. First responders night Saturday. But hockey is one of those sports, too, where I'm 100% with you. I'm not a massive hockey guy, but when you watch it, it is so electric. I'm almost like your kid in that regard. You're like, once you watch, you're like, no, I want to go to a game. I want to watch it now. You get more invested because hockey is one of the more – I think fun sports to watch live too. Just the electricity that permeates throughout the crowd. Hockey fans are passionate. Again, I wish I had more of this hockey like love in me.
Yeah. Because
it is so enjoyable to watch. And I will also point out, it is a little BS that there's not Cornhole League in the Olympics, because I would also watch USA take the gold.
100%. I would watch
gold,
it.
silver, and bronze in Cornhole.
I would watch it
if they had that.
I would watch it in the Olympics. I will say this, too, and we'll get into some college basketball coming up this weekend. We'll get into some Chiefs takes. The priorities for the Chiefs this offseason. I know they've been talked about and discussed. Charles Omenihu was on Fox Sports and gave his message to Travis Kelce, even though Omenihu is a free agent. Gave a message to Travis Kelce. The automated ball strike challenge system is now officially going on in spring training as of yesterday, with the first ever challenge in Major League Baseball spring training game. Royals get their spring training underway today, which will involve the ABS.
Did I see Max Muncy was the first one?
He was the first one.
Which is the least surprising thing.
Well, he was told that he wasn't allowed to use a challenge, because it's only the pitcher, batter, and catcher can challenge. Dugout cannot. You can't look over to the dugout. If there's any communication, you lose your right to challenge.
Yeah.
So there's no you can't tap on the head or anything like that from the
watch out trash cans.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Astros.
So you can't do it, and it's got to be immediate. It's not like the challenge system by a coach to where it's like, hold on, let me look at the replay. Like, it has to be immediate to challenge. And Dave Roberts told Max Muncy, because he's the one that has the biggest complaints about strike zone.
Of course.
He's got a pretty good eye, and he complains a lot about the strike zone. And Dave Roberts told him, you're not allowed to challenge. You are not, out of all the players, you're not allowed to challenge. And he was the one that got a challenge against him. So it's like, what are the odds that the one player in all of baseball that was publicly told you are not allowed to use a challenge while you're up at the plate, the pitcher used the challenge against him?
That's incredible, man.
And the Royals, by the way, every spring training game except like 4 or 5, they'll have the ABS system.
Nice.
So there's only like 4 or 5 stadiums that they'll be playing in that is not equipped for it, because there are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 13 stadiums in the Cactus and Grapefruit League that are equipped with it. That's why they say 60% of the spring training games will have the ABS, because those are the only stadiums that are equipped with it. One of the stadiums is Texas, Kansas City. All of the combined Grapefruit and Cactus League stadiums, where there's 2 teams that are sharing a facility, that are sharing a complex, all of those have been equipped with the ABS. So every time the Royals play at home or play the Rangers, it will be the ABS system that they'll be using. I'm
really intrigued by this. I'm excited for it, but I'm also slightly, I don't want to say pessimistic. I just don't want it to be one of those situations. I do need to do more research on this, full transparency. How many times can you do it? I don't want to be seeing it 2 times in at bat.
You get 2 times an entire game.
Oh, that's awesome. 2 times a game is phenomenal, because then you can do it in the biggest moments.
And if you win, you can keep it.
That's awesome.
So if you win it, you still have 2. So you have at least 2, but if you lose those challenges, you don't have it. So if you can challenge, and it's quick.
Yeah.
Yesterday was quick. It was the first pitch. It was a ball to Max Muncy, and Poteet, I think is his name, that was on the mound, tapped his head immediately. 10 seconds later, the pitch comes in on the video board, strike, let's get back to play, it's 0-1 count.
Nice.
And he struck Max Muncy out.
There you
Max
go.
Muncy ended up striking out. It was that quick. So it's not a, let's go to New York.
Yes.
Let's wait. It's not that. It was like 10 to 15. It was like Rick Pitino. It's like 10 to 15 seconds, and then right back to play. Right back to what you were doing before.
It's a great restaurant. It's a great restaurant.
Yes. They had just
great wine.
He and the boys just watching some games and stuff like that. So how quick it was, I'm much more in favor of that.
Yeah.
And especially when Max Muncy was like, well, that's a strike. And it was called a ball, and he was like, well, I saw him immediately challenge. He was like, well, this is going to be a strike. That was a strike.
He's like, I know.
I knew there was a strike, you know, and the umpire balled it, and it was a strike.
I'm very excited by this. Again, I just want to see how it transpires of the season.
Yeah.
There are still going to be situations where I think it's going to be tough, where the balls that's traditionally on this corner that's traditionally been called a ball for 95%, like the up and in sometimes where it's always a ball. Well, now that might be a strike.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to see how players adjust strike zone coverage-wise.
What I want to see adjustments is by the umpires, because, every umpire has their own strike zone. So sometimes, like, how many times are we watching a game, Sterling, where you go, look, man, I know they think that's a strike, but that's been a ball all day. That umpire has not called that a strike. That low and outside part of the strike zone, I know that on the broadcast, that ball, was halfway. That it sliced that line. It's a strike. That has been called a ball all day.
Yeah.
Well, if that's challenged, is that going to be called a ball all day now? Or is that umpire going to be like, well, now I've got to call that particular strike because it's going to be challenged? So my strike zone has to be, stop me if you've heard this before, universal to what everybody else's strike zone should be.
Long-term outlook, real quick thought on this is hitters are going to get better because hitters no longer have to worry about hitting balls outside of the strike zone.
Yeah.
Once you see the traditional, this is what it is, every single umpire to umpire.
Yes.
Once you get that, hitters should, not all, but most hitters will get better plate coverage, better understanding. Walk rates should go up, strikeout numbers should go down. Hitters should, again, have a little bit more of the advantage. And if that's what an unintended consequence probably of this, but that's what I think is going to happen is you're probably going to see more balls put in play.
Well, it's funny because a number of the pitchers were complaining that the walk rates were going up in some of the games that they were doing the ABS. Is that, but that's life.
Yeah.
It's reality. Now,
the balls that were getting called strikes are no longer going in your favor.
Yeah, it won't happen this year. So the earliest it can happen is next year in 2026. So they'll do it in 60% of the spring training games. It's already happened twice in the Cubs and Dodgers game. First spring training game was yesterday. Happened twice. One was overturned. One was upheld. Both were challenged by the pitcher. One was a ball, and it should have been a strike. The other one was a ball and was called a ball. Oddly enough, both pitches ended up resulting in a strikeout or a walk. So the ball that was changed to a strike, Max Muncy ended up striking out. And then in the eighth inning, the first pitch that was a ball, challenged, stayed a ball, ended up walking him on 5
So
pitches.
it's 100%.
It's always
always worked. It's strike or walk still.
That's exactly right. Yes,
Dang
it's always a three-result outcome no matter what. But it's it won't happen until next year. And it's still in the early stages because, again, not every single stadium is equipped with it. And it's not going to be perfect because some of the minor league games, Max Muncy talked yesterday about there was a minor league game where the pitch came up on the screen and it was like on the opposite part of the plate of where it actually was. And he was like, you got to live with it because he was on a rehab assignment. So it's not like he cared.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's not perfect. But that was at that particular AAA stadium. Major league ballparks, when they adopt this, should have the most advanced technology possible. So we'll see, and that's why they're doing this in spring training. Not every game, 60% of the games. So we'll see how it works. But that starts today for spring training, the rest of Major League Baseball after the first game of spring training took place yesterday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Matt Derrick will join us at 11 o'clock. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer today. We got the cuts before the show is over. We're hanging out at the Overland Park Convention Center because it is the Kansas City Golf Show going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk a couple of Chiefs discussions. We'll get into some college basketball as well with the three local schools. What goes on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. K-State in action against Arizona State on Sunday. All three of the local teams favored in their matchups. Even Missouri on the road favored at Arkansas, at least from Ken Pom. So we'll see what actual Vegas says when the line is released 5 minutes before tip-off, as they do with college basketball. But we'll talk some college basketball today because I want to get into what the three local schools need to be looking at and doing over these final 5 games. 5 games remaining for all 3 teams. What does the record need to be? What can it be? What are the expectations? And can K-State get back to winning? Can KU turn it around And can Mizzou continue playing at the level they are and ascending and playing great basketball? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. They have a dozen front door bonuses. So you get 6 Great Life golf rounds, free balls, Barry's Golf and Groove Sim Time, and an Advent Health Championship ticket while they last. So those are all the different types of bonuses you can get. Not everybody's going to get, but different types of things that you can get. And those Advent Health Championship tickets while they last, you can go online and get them at adventhealthchampionship.com. We'll talk with Rick Amos coming up in about 15 minutes from now about the Advent Health Championship coming up on May 12th. There at Blue Hills Country Club.
Always a great spot. That was so much fun last year doing that. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was fun because we got a lot of talk about Scotty Scheffler being arrested that morning.
Oh, yeah. Then you had the local, Harry Higgs,
That's right, yeah.
Mustang stand-up, baby, Blue Valley North, put on an incredible performance, won the thing.
That's right.
We had free beers. What more could a man – we had beautiful weather.
I got a mouse in your pocket over there. We had free beers.
I had free beers, and I had a nice bronze going in. What more could you ask for?
Well, you didn't have to be tarps off while that was going on. That was a little.
I didn't have to, but
too much.
I was trying to treat it like the waste management. I was trying to really go all in on
You're not in Phoenix, man. It's okay. You're drunk, and this isn't Rome. So we are at the Overland Park Convention Center. You can come down and test drive the Cleveland, Mizuno, Callaway golf clubs and plenty more as well. Get fitted with PXG. They've got the MGA and RMI carts. Yeah. Guy was walking around with the remote control cart just a little bit ago, just walking behind it while the cart walked. I'm like, well, that seems incredibly nice and lazy to
I'll tell you this.
If there are issues with being able to walk around the course, but you still want to walk the course, then hey, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
I'll tell you this right now. If you give me that, I will promote the bleep out of that thing.
Is that right?
If you give me one of those things are expensive. If you give me one of those things, I will promote the bleep out of it for you.
Exactly right. Or you can come down and just see Sterling relaxing in the Yingling Flight 19th hole right now.
It's lovely.
Yeah. It's got. Are you sipping on the Tito's vodka, the Barman Bourbon?
They're not here yet.
Spike,
once they get
Topo
here,
Chico.
Once they get here, old boy will.
Okay. I didn't know maybe that was the case. But it's going on today, tomorrow, and on into Sunday. Kids 12 and under are free. You can get the tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com. You can get them at the door as well. But kansascitygolfshow.com is where those tickets are if you want to buy them online. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. So I want to talk some college basketball here because we'll talk more college basketball with Mick Schaefer coming up in the noon hour. We'll talk certainly some other things with Mick Schaefer as well. But because we'll be having Matt Derrick on at 11 o'clock, and we'll get a lot of Chiefs talk in with that. As we look at the final 5 games for these 3 teams, we talked a lot about Mizzou yesterday and those final 5 games. We went, 4-1, but 3-2 is more realistic expectation for this team. 4-1 certainly is possible. 5-0 is possible, but I think it's expecting a lot if you say, well, coming off the Alabama win, they lose to Tennessee, they lost to A&M. This team is not invincible. This team is not beyond reproach. So losses, will happen along the way, you would expect. And so we talked about 3-2/4-1. 3-2 reasonable. 4-1, I think, is certainly on the docket. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I would be surprised if they went 5-0. It is a tougher stretch when you're playing 3 teams that are fighting for their tournament lives, and then Kentucky as well.
Yeah, but what I would say, if they go 5-0, I would be surprised, but I guess I wouldn't be shocked. Is that fair?
I think that's a good way to do it. I wouldn't be shocked like, oh, my God, how did they do that? But it'd be like, you know what, that's pretty surprising. I know they're playing good basketball, but that's not easy to play Arkansas, Vandy, and Oklahoma that are all looking for the quality win against you to get them in the tournament.
And all on the road.
Kentucky at home. Yeah, all of those on the road. And then Kentucky at home, South Carolina at home, whatever. It would be, you know what, I'm not shocked that they were able to do that. But it's surprising that they would be able to do that. I think that's a good way to put it. But I think 4-1 is like, okay, that wouldn't surprise me if they go 4-1.
No.
3-2 would be like, that's kind of what I think they would end up going. Anything less than that is like, all right, what happened? Is there are they not playing the same way? Are there some sort of kinks in the armor along the way? What's going on? So that was the Missouri conversation yesterday. Kansas is interesting because like the next 2 games should be wins. In theory, should be get healthy games against Oklahoma State and Colorado, teams that are sub 100 or right around 100 in the KenPom, in theory. But, do those games then get them back to feeling good, playing good basketball, enjoying each other's company, playing for the guy next to you, playing for the jersey you're wearing, right? if they were to win those games, take care of Oklahoma State on Saturday, and then go to Colorado and win that game, does that then get them set for this crazy 3-game stretch that they will end with? Texas Tech at home, at Houston, and against Arizona. And by the way, looking at some of the pods and destinations, if Missouri wants to go to Wichita, then they need Tech and Iowa State to start losing. They need Texas Tech and Iowa State because Texas Tech is 40 miles closer to Wichita than Denver. And they typically, because Denver's also a host site, which is weird that they put those host sites that close together. And the Southeast is going to be, because there's so many teams in the Southeast, Raleigh's going to be filled up quickly with Auburn and Duke.
Yep.
Lexington's going to be filled up then right after that with Alabama and Kentucky and Tennessee. Well, Kentucky, not Kentucky, but Florida, because Kentucky can't play in Lexington. But Florida,
sure,
Alabama, Tennessee, teams like that. And now you're looking at Cleveland, Rhode Island, Wisconsin. But Wichita and Denver, well, Houston, the closest for them would be either Lexington or Wichita. So if they get sent to Wichita, Texas Tech, the closest for them is Wichita. Iowa State, the closest for them would be either Wichita or Cleveland, just sort of depending. But, if you can find a way to be above those teams, then maybe you get to go to Wichita. Or, and I don't know if they would do this, if they would send them to Cleveland, because technically Cleveland or Milwaukee would be closer than Wichita, so it'd be easier for fans from St. Louis to get to those spots rather than thinking of the Kansas City aspect of easier to get to Wichita than it would be to get to Madison or Cleveland, where people in St. Louis, that would be the easier trip for them to get to those spots. So that's just random. It's amazing we're talking about that with Mizzou, looking at where the destination
and that we care that much. We haven't cared this much since they were a 2 seed. I mean, quite frankly, if we're being transparent, I've not cared where they've played, more or less what seed they were and who they were playing.
Because you just got sent, if you were an 8-9, then you just got sent to wherever the 1 seed was playing their pod.
100%.
That's where you got sent. If you were a 7-10, you just got sent to wherever the 2 seed was playing. Well, Missouri's going to be in a position to where they're going to be the first one that's put in a site at that pod.
Well, and then
where do they go?
What's lovely is, one, they've shown the ability to win on the road, beating Florida, right? But I think what's so impressive is how good they are at home, 17-1 as we talk. I mean, they are incredible at home, and you can tell they feed off of the crowd now. Is it the same at a quote-unquote neutral site versus, in Como? But the runs against KU to start that game, the run against Alabama to start that game, they clearly feed off of that energy. So you want to have it packed with a lot of Tiger fans for that exact at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I think Wichita would be great because that's going to be packed with a lot of – you're not having the same pregame. I get that. You're not going to have –
Madison's going to be a lot of red for Wisconsin.
Yes.
Not Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee will be tons of red because Wisconsin's going to be ranked high enough and they're going to be – one of the teams that's going to be sent to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's going to be tons of red. You don't want to be in their session. I would just say that because then the tickets would be a little bit more expensive. But if KU can win these two, get playing good basketball, get playing to where they're enjoying each other's company again, does that then get them set for Texas Tech, Houston, and Arizona? Can they go 2-1 in that stretch? That's the question I would have. You got 2 games at home. Can they go 2-1?
They go 1-2.
I mean, at this point, I think that like Dylan – at this point, are you looking at those final 3 games, at home against Tech, at Houston, and then at home against Arizona, and saying, you know what, just go 1-2? What's the feeling right now? Because I'm looking at it going, if KU's going to make a run, which we know that KU is about not just getting in the tournament. They get in the tournament. We know they're going to the tournament.
Right.
But making a run, to me, making a run would be, can you go 2-1 to where you can look in the mirror and the guy next to you and go, okay, we're back to playing that we were in the non-conference.
Right. That's what I've been saying is that you have to hit that in this stretch to almost have confidence going into the tournaments that you're going to be playing in because the teams you're going to be playing are that caliber. And they're going to be, you're going to run into a hot team or a team that makes a bunch of threes or, whatever the kryptonite has been for Kansas in the past. But you don't have that Kansas team. I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's not the team you have anymore that can even withstand that. So you have to almost play above your head, and you have to start by playing good against these teams, especially at home.
And 2 of them are at home. That's the thing. Like
Right.
with Tech at home and Arizona at home, like take care of Allen Fieldhouse. Take care of your home court. I know that it's surprising to see the losses in Allen Fieldhouse the last couple of years. Okay,
well, Arizona final game of the season, right?
Yes, that's the last one. March 8th.
What do they do? Final home game of the season under Bill Self. They win.
They win.
So yeah, you have that. You have those narratives going for you. It just they're not playing good ball at all. Yeah. Utah was supposed to be a get-right game. We knew BYU could.
It was a road game, and it was.
I don't care. It's Utah.
It's supposed to be a get-right game. I agree.
BYU, I had a little more of okay. I get it. BYU, you shouldn't have got blown out like that. Mm-hmm. But BYU's a pretty good team. I get that. And it's hard playing in Provo.
2 months ago, I put $10 on BYU to go to the Final Four randomly.
Well, good for you.
Not bad. It's not bad.
I've heard worse $10 bets.
I know.
I've made them. The Utah game to me was the get-right game. That's if they would have won that game, I would have had no qualms, no concerns. I'd say, yeah, they probably go 4-1 of these last 5 games.
Yeah.
But after how they played, the comments posed, I don't know if anything's going to get them right.
Yeah.
They're now, at least in Joe Lunardi's, just came out, they're a 7 seed.
No kidding.
They're a 7 in Joe Lunardi's, and they are dropping like a bag of bricks.
Mizzou a 3?
Mizzou is still a 5.
What?
Which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, Joe Lunardi can go. Yeah, that's fine.
They're still a 5 playing George Mason out of now.
Yeah,
so
sure. Okay. They're 13 in the net, but they're a 5.
Yeah,
okay,
so
sure.
I think this is going to change.
All good. So we'll see. But for K-State, we can all agree 5-0. Like that's like the minimum 5-0 for K-State.
The NIT?
Oh, they have to.
Yeah.
5-0 or
make the NIT,
5-0 or
yeah.
win.
No, I'm kidding. You're right. 5-0 and then win the tournament.
5-0 and then 1 or 2 wins in the Big 12 tournament would put you, I think, back squarely on the bubble to where you'd have a fighting chance and an argument.
On the bubble.
Yeah, on the bubble. Right, because that's really – unless we're talking about just winning one more loss and it's win the Big 12 tournament. Because there's the only loss that would be, okay, that's a decent loss is Iowa State.
Well, what K-State has going –
Arizona State at home, Central Florida on the road.
No.
Colorado at home or on the road, wherever. Cincinnati on the road is more of a difficult game, but you're not going to lose that one and go, boy, that's a good loss for that team. No,
you got to go 5-0, and not only that, K-State they're going to be on the bubble if they go 5-0 and win a game or 2 in the Big 12 tournament. What they have going for them is they are 5-2 against top 25 teams.
Yeah,
you look at the Big 12, they're the only team that's the best top 25 record. The next best is Arizona at 5-3. Houston's 2-3 against top 25. K-State has the best top 25 record. The issue is they've lost to so many bad teams, but they've
got 2 more quad 1 wins available.
Yes,
at Cincinnati and then home to Iowa State. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Rick Amos. Advent Health Championship coming up May. It is come on, May 12th. Yeah, May 12th. I knew the day. I'm like, it's not May 2nd. I'm like, why am I saying May 2nd? No, May 12th through the 18th at Blue Hills Country Club. And so we're looking forward to that. We'll talk with Rick Amos coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, hanging out on this Friday edition. We're at the Overland Park Convention Center because it's the Casey Golf Show going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday, which always means that we get a chance a couple of months from now to preview 3 months. Less than 3 months now.
80-some days.
80-something days. Do you wish it was like 120 or 130 more days, or do you wish it was like 5 days? Rick Amos is our guest here with the Advent Health Championship.
I would say we always want more time, but maybe one of these years we'll get a little more time. Maybe we'll move back a month or two and get some warmer weather. But last year we knocked it out of the park. When I was sitting talking to you guys in February, if you would have told me we were going to have 70s and 80s every day, no rain, and basically perfect weather. And then have Harry Higgs win, chip in from 63 yards on 18 to force a playoff, and then have a local kid win. And now, obviously, back on the tour, playing this week in Mexico. We couldn't have asked for anything more. It was a perfect year.
And getting Scotty Scheffler arrested that Friday morning, so everybody was like, let's go watch some more golf.
That's exactly right. I forgot about that.
Great job at planning that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a lot of planning and strategy by you, Rick.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Before 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, I'd escorted 2 people out of the tournament this year, and that's never happened in my 11 years of doing
golfers?
this. So, yeah, not golfers. Not golfers. So.
Well, that was my fault. I went tarps off.
I told him not to.
It could have been my boys, actually. It could have been my fault. Rick, I apologize for that.
It was you and your dad. Don't lie. It was you and your dad.
Me and Jeff are getting after it.
Every time.
When do we get a sponsorship exemption to play in it? Me and my dad, we talked about it. Rick,
right.
I'm assuming.
Always angling.
It's always an angle.
You should be a fisherman, right? Because you do so much angling.
Always an angle here. Do you need a guy to shoot like about a 105 in those conditions? Because if so, I'll be your man.
Yeah,
it's like pros versus Joes.
If we could get that, I might let you in. We'll see.
Let's go.
We'll see. Do you play?
I do.
Do you play the Sunday pin placement?
No, I've never played the Sunday pin placement. Back when before we moved to Blue Hills, we used to have our volunteer play day, right?
Yeah.
When the tournament ended, one of our big things doing at the golf show is recruiting volunteers. Mm-hmm. We used to have it the day after the tournament ended, and all of our volunteers were fried. The staff is fried. We're like, let's move this a couple months out.
That makes sense.
So the pin placements is obviously by the time we do that, it's all. But no, I've never played the Sunday pin placements. I've just really started playing more golf as I get too old to do anything else. I've decided golf is what I'm going to do.
I've always wondered, like, if you get a chance to do that, like, do you go full-on experience? You know what? We're playing from the tips as it lies, PGA rules. I just want to know what I would shoot on a Sunday round of an event like this.
I think most people would argue doing that is better than your best day at work, but that might just be miserable for a guy like me.
It would
just
be
mark
tough.
me down
for
145.
160.
That was why I said like 105. Normally it's like an 86, 87, but you go out in those conditions. That's kind of what the point I was trying to make here is how good these golfers really are.
Dude,
you think that I play a good amount. I love golf. But then you go out in those conditions from the tips, the way the rough is set up, the way the greens are set up, the pin locations, it really does go to show you how incredible these golfers are.
They are, and it just, we've said this every year when we talk. These guys are literally just a couple of shots away from making. You look at Jake Knapp, who was on the tour 2 years ago, went and won a year ago this week in Mexico City. He's near the top of the leaderboard again this year. I mean, these guys literally, when they're coming onto our tour, with our new PGA Tour U, and coming right out of college, they're playing so well in college. I think we had 3 guys last year out of 5 that came out of college, got limited starts, and went right to the tour type stuff.
Amazing.
So they are that good, and the guys coming out of college, they're younger, they're strong, or they're obviously younger, but they're stronger. They're more prepared for professional golf than they've ever been.
Well, you had obviously Harry Higgs is the big name if you're local, but a guy that I know very well, Justin Lauer, who's having a lot of great success, came obviously Korn Ferry as well. He was on the cusp for a long time. I mean, he was 26th, 27th, I think 26 3 straight years before he finally got his. He had to go up and down to get his card, and now he had a top 5. Already this year on the PGA. Again, it's one of those situations where you're watching the next iteration of stars.
You really are. We have a few years ago we won a cooler for best operations of the tournament. They called it Great White, and it's got Scotty Scheffler's. This was 2019. Yeah. It's got 2 signatures of Scotty Scheffler on there, so we got that all clear coded and everything like that to protect those signatures. You know, so just these guys. I mean, think about that. 6 years ago now, Scotty Scheffler was playing on this tour, and look at what he's doing every year. It's just crazy.
The technology has been unbelievable, and I've talked about this. We were having fun like a couple of months ago because in Kansas City, opening up a couple of months ago was called the Baseball Lab, and my son is a big baseball fan, plays, and so it's got like the pitch tracks, the TrackMan. It's got the batting cage, and it's got all the different types of pitches that a major league pitcher throws. It's like, okay, here's a Garrett Cole curveball, at like 92 miles an hour, and you're in there as like a high school kid. And you could be facing what that looks like, and that's on the baseball side. And when we talk about these college kids that are coming out are more prepared than they've ever been, I'd have to imagine that this generation, sort of that first generation of all of this technology that they've had access to, that used to be only the top of the pros that had the money to access it could be able to do those things.
Well, and obviously there's no secret. The pandemic obviously changed the golf industry. It was the one thing that I think a lot of us could do. We could get outside and do it. The golf show, as amazing as the golf show is, it is transformed. You used to come here and there are all kinds of destination golf places to come visit and talk out. Now it's more vendors sampling, doing stuff like that. It's just because golf courses are full and it's harder to get on golf. So the game of golf has simply just taken off, and I think that's what you're seeing the PGA Tour try and do now with TGL and Tiger and the Golf League, where they're trying to attract a younger crowd, because what's happening is you're not finding people that want to sit and watch, the younger generation sit and watch 4+ hours of golf. So they're trying to shorten it, put it in 2 hours, and do something unique with it, because we're just still trying to grow and diversify the game of golf.
Do you like the what we're watching on Tuesdays?
It's
different.
It's growing on me.
Yeah, okay,
it's growing on me.
Sterling hates it.
No. It's not the same, because you would like Tiger hitting the ball 99 yards when it was supposed to be 199 is a perfect example.
Right.
Again, there are just some situations where and again, it's fun to watch, but I don't know if I'd go out of my way. I still love traditional golf. I like myself going. So, I love going there myself and hitting balls and all that stuff, but watching someone else.
I thought I would like the team aspect. I found myself not caring about it, only watching for the interactions with the golfers. That's all, because they're mic'd up. That's all I'm watching for.
And I think that's something we'd all like to see, is more interaction with the golf. The challenge flag, it seemed like everybody wants that thrown and they hardly use it type stuff. So, but it is something different to watch. I love watching golf. I'll sit and watch 4 hours of golf. I love watching golf. So if I can do it for 2 hours on a Monday or Tuesday night when I'm normally, there's no football to watch right now, so maybe some college basketball, but that's even waned in this area a little bit. So
well, not on the eastern side of the state line.
You're right.
I'm actually loving college basketball this year. I think it's phenomenal.
It's been a while since I've really liked watching college basketball. It's odd what's going on.
Yeah, it's
are you guys still looking for volunteers?
Yeah, so we're here. We've got a lot of stuff going on this weekend at the golf show. It's a great time to come to the golf show, because I don't think, unless you're going to indoor simulator, you're probably playing golf outdoors this weekend.
Monday though.
Monday. If there's no snow and if the course is dry. But yeah, so we're here. We're recruiting volunteers. Volunteer normally is $55. People say, oh, you got to pay to volunteer. Well, you get a $75 Adidas polo. You get a $20 Puka cap. If you work 12 hours or volunteer 12 hours during the tournament, you get to play Blue Hills for free later in the summer, which is
great
$120 value. So normally it's $55. If you come sign up at the golf show, it's $45. I think
awesome.
We've got some free swag and stuff we're giving away if you sign up. And so, yeah, we're recruiting volunteers. We're still looking for sponsors. We've got a week long of events. We're trying to finalize with our friends at the Midwest Section PGA a junior pro-am on the Sunday before the tournament begins. Wow. Our Women's Day is huge, 9-hole women's pro-am, women's luncheon. We've got some special guests lined up to speak at that. And then, then our official pro-am on Wednesday, and then the pros play through Thursday through Sunday, and we have hospitality options and everything available. So
and also,
we are excited.
You guys got some cool stuff going on, too, because you come here and you get a free GA ticket if you come to the golf show.
Yep.
And also, we were in the tailgate setup. So we were in the tailgate at the turn.
Yes.
That's when Sterling took his tarps off for no reason.
It was electric. Come on.
Yes. And it was awesome, man. Jack Stack and some of the great food that was there. And if you come to the golf show, That's a $100 ticket that you guys are getting people for $75
for $75. You can take your GA ticket that you get free and convert it into that. Jack Stack is going to will be our official tailgate provider this year for the tournament. So
I'll go all 3 days.
Yeah.
I'll go four. Well, but we have 3 days that the show typically goes out because each show goes out one day.
Well, you're going to be there Thursday. So then you can just come out. Oh, I see what you're saying. Come out Friday. Yeah. So tailgate, we've expanded the area. We've dressed it up a little bit, so it's going to be a great experience. We've really tried to find. You can come just walk around the grounds and buy Jack Stack and concessions for $10, and then buy your concessions, or you can pay $75 and get all you can eat and all you can drink for the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's really. We've tried to find all those price points and encourage people to come out. I'm just going to go on a limb and say the weather's that's plastic, but say the weather's going to be nice.
Wood.
How's that work? Weather's going to be nice. It's going to be a great experience. Watch some of the up-and-coming golfers. Well, we can't wait.
And as somebody that is not a fan of the sun, it was nice to be underneath because that Thursday, Friday, it was hot.
You and I split. Jason's on the inside, and I'm like, I want to be in the sun, so I'm sitting on the.
He was with his shirt off in the sun. I was under the tent, and I'm like, you know what? Even from that standpoint. The $75, the $100 would have been worth it for me. Not only getting the free, all you can eat and drink, and the great scene and stuff like that, but being under the tent's nice when it's that hot outside too.
I guess they just opened the gates. Dick's playing rock and roll music right now.
Let's go.
There we go. People
coming running for their free stuff. Let's go.
Rick, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it as
guys.
always, brother.
It's always a pleasure. Give us a call. Hit our website up, adventhealthchampionship.com, or come see us at the golf show. We'd love to see you.
Yep.
Love to have you a part of the team.
The 19th hole Yingling, they're right there. You can see, the Advent Health tent as well. It's got a huge information sign on top of it, so come down here and check it out. And then you can get your free GA ticket, and you can upgrade that. $25 off that tailgate at the turn, usually $100. This weekend at the golf show, it's $75 to be able to do that. So that is awesome. Rick, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
May 12th through the 18th, all that stuff going on. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hang out with Matt Derrick coming up next. to the Advent Health Championship Corn Ferry Tour event when you come here to the Kansas City Golf Show. And you can go and get those tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com. You can buy them here at the door as well. They've got tons of cool different front door bonuses when you walk in. So a lot of people walking around with their goodie bags already with the front door bonuses.
I'm jealous. I'm about to go back through.
Nope,
I think
you don't have a ticket. That's
well, no, I'll just say I'm so
bonus.
sorry. I accidentally lost my ticket. I clearly have one because I'm in here.
We've got a stack of tickets for people that get here to the golf show and want a ticket.
And you won't give me one. Yeah, Jason is hoarding.
No. No, we're actually giving these. If you come down to the golf show and you would like a ticket for tomorrow or Sunday, we're giving tickets away for the next couple days too.
Yeah.
So you buy one ticket, you can maybe get a couple free. It's buy one get two, maybe. I don't know. It's a Bogota. It's Bogota.
Bogota.
I didn't have a ticket when I got in, but
you didn't?
I
you
was
just walked right by him.
And I can't say how I don't want to say how I got in.
You just said I'm Matt Derrick.
Because then other people will try and use that trick and everything.
You said I'm Matt Derrick.
But the guy at the front, did tell me, he's like, well, I'm not supposed to let anybody in, but he's like, either you're legitimate or you're pulling a good scam.
And he'll never know. And he will never
Matt,
know.
Big Scammer Derrick joining us right now in the zone.
Exactly
big sus Matt Derrick.
Big sus.
So sus. Matt's the Derek Thomas Award for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Joe Delaney Award for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Rookie of the Year and the MVP. It's who I expected, so no surprise for me. But what'd you think of Xavier Worthy, Rookie of the Year for the Chiefs, and Joe Tooney, MVP for the Chiefs, as voted on by the players?
Zero surprise about the Xavier Worthy. I mean, that was absolutely a slam dunk, easy choice and everything. I didn't know who to expect who was going to get the Derek Thomas Award. I mean, it could have been a lot of different players.
Yep.
But
by the way,
did
I said Joe Delaney? I think it's Mackley Hill. I think I said Joe Delaney Award. Sorry, it's Mackley Hill Rookie of the Year Award. Sorry. As soon as I said it, I'm like, no, that's not. But anyway, but Joe Tooney MVP, the Derek Thomas Award.
Yeah, I mean, I meant to look it up, so I'm going through it now and everything to try and see, because I don't remember if it feels like an offensive lineman may have won it. Was that what does it?
Glenn Parker, like 98.
Gosh, Glenn Parker did win it.
The only reason I know that is because
I thought you were joking.
The only reason I know this is because
Parker.
Timmy this morning talked about it with New Day and SSJ.
Go.
Said that Glenn Parker is the last offensive lineman. I would have guessed Will Shields
Art
or
Still?
Brian Waters or something
wasn't
like
an
that.
Offensive lineman. No, yeah, nobody. I mean, that's the.
I would have guessed something like that. I would have guessed like, all right, it's Will Shields or Brian Waters or something.
I could have guessed all
lines.
day before I landed on Glenn Parker.
Me too. I might have guessed Glenn Dorsey before I guessed Glenn Parker would have been the last one to win. But it is different where Joe Tooney had to take on a different role and move out to left tackle and do something that is not necessarily naturally in his skill set and something he hasn't done since college, and do it at a high level against NFL players through the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. It makes sense that he would be voted that, but an offensive lineman, it is, interesting. So what was your, takeaway in that finally somebody since Glenn Parker?
I mean, after the Glenn Parker realization, I mean, after this kind of surprise that they did, go to an offensive lineman, I mean, that was about 2 seconds of thought, and then it was immediately, my thought was, this is reflective of what that locker room thinks about what Joe Tooney did and the kind of guy he is, because they felt like he sacrificed himself for the betterment of the team, that he didn't have to do that. I mean, you don't think of a football player saying, nah, that's not my jam. I'm not going to I can't do that. I mean, he stepped into a role that they just didn't have anybody for.
Yeah.
And I think they feel like they would not have made it to the Super Bowl without Joe Tooney playing left tackle.
Yeah.
So the fact that...
You agree with that real quick?
I do think I agree with that. So, yeah, I mean... That is truly reflective, because that was the one thing that you heard all during Super Bowl week, and even at the end of the season, the tail end of it, was just how much this team respects Joe Tooney for not only taking on that role, but just as well as he played in it. And it wasn't just the offensive guys; it was the defensive guys too. I mean, that were raving about the fact that the guys on the offensive side that understand how hard that is to do. I mean, they definitely understood it and appreciated it. I mean, they even asked, Creed Humphrey if he could do that, and he laughed and was like, "No, I can't play tackle." But the defensive guys got it too. I mean, they really appreciate it, because I think that entire team, not just the offensive side, I think everyone on that team realizes that they would not have made it as far as they did without Joe Tooney playing left tackle.
And I think it goes to show, like, offensive linemen, certainly there's a brotherhood, there's a fraternity of other offensive linemen, so they're going to stick up for their own and give credit where credit is due and like to put some shine on somebody that's doing something, give their flowers to that person. But you saw almost, I mean, I can't even say almost, literally every single offensive lineman that we talked to or discussed anything about Joe Thuney was, I don't think people understand how difficult it is what Joe Thuney is doing by moving to left tackle as opposed to left guard. So, to your point, even the defensive players, but, everybody that's played the position outside of Kansas City and looking at what Joe Thuney was able to do and talk about how difficult that was for him to play at a level that he did. It, ultimately felt like maybe Peter principled to the point to where it was just a little bit too much to the dam eventually broke, that you need an actual left tackle out there and not a left guard that's filling the role of a left tackle. But seeing how difficult it was, and almost the Super Bowl, I think it can almost highlight what kind of a job he did along the way, because Myles Garrett and the Super Bowl are the two games you look at where Joe Thuney didn't look like a pretty damn good left tackle. That's and so to me that even puts more in perspective of what he was able to do and just gain that consistency and solidify that part that was such an issue for this team.
Yeah, it really was. And, I'll admit that my third thought upon hearing this, about hearing the news and everything with Joe Thuney was, this is kind of, and I don't know necessarily the players were thinking about this in their voting, but I think it was certainly it certainly could have been in the back of their minds is, hey, this might be Joe Thuney getting ready to be the end of the rodeo. Is he going to, with his contract?
Do you believe
no guarantee? I don't blame any player for retiring once they get. Especially in a position like offensive line. Mitch Schwartz retired early. The back injury obviously played a factor, but Joe Thomas retired early.
I guess there's been no rumblings of Joe Thuney retiring. I think, if anything, we thought about an extension for Joe Thuney, maybe a 2 or 3 year, and obviously with the salary cap change, maybe you don't have to do that any longer with the cap hit because you have more money than you originally thought, so that contract doesn't really affect you.
It's still $27 million.
Agreed, but it's not
slash tackle.
It's not quite as prohibitive as once thought, because
instead of like 12% against the cap, it's like 10% against.
Sure,
the cap.
it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Again, I still think that an extension made the most sense. But you think there's a potential retirement in the cards?
Anytime you get to be 33 years old and you're playing offensive line and played as long and as good as Joe Thuney has, it's always going to be in the back of my mind, especially when the contract situation is what it is. And hey, the Chiefs. Let's face it. This would be out of their character to sign Joe Thuney to a long-term deal. Because even if you bought 2 or 3 more years, you're buying age 33, 34, 35. The Chiefs' business model still goes back with Andy Reid and, Philadelphia, which is that, at all costs you avoid trying to buy those years beyond 30, unless it's a Hall of Fame player. And now Joe Thuney, Hall of Fame caliber player. He may very well already be in the Hall of Fame. We'll see how, of course, I have my doubts about how the smart Hall of Fame voters are these days. But Joe Thuney certainly put himself into that category. But, hey, 33, 34, 35, can the Chiefs afford Joe Thuney? And if not, Joe Thuney, bless his heart, if I were him, I don't want to go just play for anybody. I want to play for somewhere where I can get a ring. Because I don't need to go somewhere just to cash a check and go 2-15.
Would it be a 1-year extension, like not even 33, 34? Just, this will be his 33-year-old season because he turns 33 in November. So he's 32 now, so it'd be 33 with an out after 33. So 1 more year, you lower the cap, you kick it down the road 1 more year, and maybe you move a little bit more money to him instead of, hey, Joe, you got 1 year left, you're going to make $16 million this year. It's going to be a $27 million cap hit because of all the restructuring and the bonus that you got. So the cash you're getting is, your $15.5 million base and your $500,000 workout. So we're going to give you $16 million. That's all you're getting this year. How about we give you $19.5? We move some things around, and we put a 1-year extension on that, and we kind of call it 1 year left on your deal, and then we all walk after this year. But we give you a few more $1 million right now to play 1 more year on this deal, and then we can figure this out next offseason.
It's
I don't know. It sounds easy in theory, right? Why don't they just do that? What I just said.
And and certainly if you're the Chiefs, if Joe Thuney said I want to do 1 more year, and the Chiefs were like, okay, 1 more year, age 33, you could work out something. Mm-hmm. And if you're the Chiefs don't do void years very often, but they could throw something on there. That's one thing. The Chiefs have just like $300,000 in dead cap space. They're ridiculously good at managing dead cap money.
I think it's $2 million is the dead cap that they have.
It's not much at all. It's like a ridiculously
it's the
small
same number
amount.
that I came up with. They're 28th in the NFL. It was like 1.836.
Yeah,
By the
it's
way,
ridiculous.
almost all of that is Hopkins. Almost all of that is DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, and then Hopkins, I would have to go back and look. I'm not even sure if any of that hits the Chiefs because most of that dead money should have gone with him to stay with him in Tennessee.
It's listed
So,
for the Chiefs.
There could be some.
There could be some split between the
I know
two.
he had a void year on his contract in Tennessee, so there may have been some money due that it was like a roster bonus or something, but it was guaranteed salary for next year. It could have been, but yeah, I mean. That might be your only really big source. I mean, Chiefs just don't have, because they do manage their contracts well. They don't have a ton of dead money. So, yeah, could you – because remember, you've got $10 million of Joe Thuney that is not for this year. You're paying him for years that he's already played. You're just taking the cap hit this year.
Yep.
So if you're going to pay him $20 million this year and, like you said, do a 2-year deal, so he's going to be like a $20 million cap hit this year, $10 million cap hit next year. I mean, it's basically the same thing. You're just pushing it off a year. I'd be okay with that. I mean, if Joe Thuney's okay with that.
Was it Chris Jones the first that they gave a void year to? When they redid his deal last year during the season?
They have void years in Mahomes, but his are there for a purpose.
Yeah, his are like way down the line.
They're way down the line.
Because I'm like,
but they're there for future deals. And
I thought it was like we talked about they never do void years, and then they put one on to Chris Jones, and it was like I remember the conversation we had was like, so are they dabbling in it now? Are they maybe looking into things that the Eagles have been doing a lot? Like the Eagles have a lot of void years.
They got $350 million.
$390.4.
Yeah,
$390.4.
$390.
Yeah. That's the main part of their strategy is void years, and the Chiefs do not do that.
They have guys. The Eagles have guys with contracts that have and now it's phony money, but they've got $99 million base salaries in 2032. I mean,
it's amazing. But I remember that conversation of like, okay, are they going to adapt? They're sort of dipping their toe in the void contracts. Does that mean once you open the door and see how some of this can work, and talking with Clark Hunt and a little bit more cash that would have to be a part of it with some void years? Is that something that they start to do a little bit more to make it work so that you can still try to win a Super Bowl without saying, yeah, we're going to try to win one this year, and it's going to cost us 4 more chances after this year. That's never going to be something Brett Veach and Clark Hunt and Andy Reid do.
No, because, I mean, I think right now 31 out of the 32 teams in the NFL are trying to win a Super Bowl. Chiefs are trying to maximize their window with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Are the Bills doing that? I don't know. Maybe you could say 30 or 32. I mean, maybe there's a few other teams that are looking at their quarterback situation and saying, hey, we've got a guy that can win a Super Bowl potentially for 10 years. I think Buffalo is still in win mode now because they haven't won one yet.
And they're $14 million.
That Von Miller contract says something different. That Von Miller contract said they're trying to win now more so than maximize the window.
Well, and that was a couple of years ago when everybody thought the Chiefs were sliding back because of Tyreek Hill.
And the Eagles are a great example. I mean, they went all in trying to win a Super Bowl now because I think they believe and know and get that, hey, Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl window isn't as long as Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, chances are this is the only Super Bowl Jalen Hurts is going to win because they're going to start having the bill come due for everything that they've done with those future contracts.
I'm with you on that. I think if he's going to win one, it's going to be win one more. It's going to be the next couple of years because I think Jalen Hurts is a prime example of the sliding scale of which quarterbacks can win a Super Bowl. Like Jimmy Garoppolo was close to winning a Super Bowl because 52 others around him were so damn good. Patrick Mahomes can win a Super Bowl, and the sliding scale is you can win with less. The lesser the quarterback, the more that scale has to be to how good 2 through 53 are. And Jalen Hurts ain't Jimmy Garoppolo, and he ain't Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's probably one of like 12 or 13 quarterbacks that would have won that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
that particular game, I think about 32 would have.
That particular game, there are a number of quarterbacks that would have won that game.
Yes.
Nothing to take away from Jalen Hurts.
But I will also point out.
But him being the MVP, because it's sort of by default, they still win if
Cooper DeJean could have been.
If Jared Goff is quarterbacking the
100%.
team, they're still winning the Super Bowl in that game.
But the thing the Eagles do a little different than other teams, and why they've gotten away with it and why I still think they potentially can, now they would be the outlier, they draft so well.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
You can afford to keep kicking the can down when you draft well. The reason why the Saints struggled so much was they were giving money to guys that shouldn't have been getting the money, and they didn't draft well.
You mean like re-upping Alvin Kamara?
But like the Eagles, for example, they've been giving money to guys for the most part that have been deserving. They were still playing great ball, and they're drafting well by supplementing it with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and getting all this young talent. That can work, but the second they stop drafting well, that's when the issues arise. The difference is Howie Roseman, kind of like Brett Veach, but Howie Roseman's been doing it just at such a damn high level.
Yeah, if you're the Eagles with their situation, the way that they go about building contracts, they're basing the idea on the fact that the next quarterback that they draft to replace Jalen Hurts is going to hit.
Yes,
they're betting on that, and obviously he was a second-round guy. So obviously, if they feel confident that they can replace Jalen Hurts with another cheap, affordable guy in the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, they gave Jalen Hurts that contract, though.
Yeah,
they already gave him that.
They gave him that. I mean, but it's the NFL. I mean, he won't. I mean, he's going to be. I guess he's 27.
Well, they also got ahead of the curve on a couple of them too. Like Jordan Mailata.
Yeah.
If Jordan Mailata was a free agent right now, what 30 million? I mean, like honestly, like I wonder how much Jordan Mailata would make right now in the open market as an actual free agent. Instead, before last year they signed him to a 3-year extension worth $66 million. Like he's a $15 million cap hit this upcoming season. He's a $19 million cap hit in 19. He's a $21.8 million cap hit in 27, or 26, $19 million cap hit in 2026. $22 million cap hit in 2027, and $23 million in 2028 for Jordan Mailata. Like, they got ahead of the curve, knew what they had, knew he was still an ascending player, and now he's one of the best tackles in all of football. I mean, he graded out, like, what was he, 94 at pass blocking grade, 93 run blocking grade this year? Like, it was unbelievable the season that he had. He's one of the best tackles in football, and they've got him cost controlled for the next 5 years. Now they've got a void year on there that they'll lose $7 million in dead cap after that. But if you had Jordan Mailata for the next 5 years for the Chiefs, and after that you said, well, you got to cut him and let him go, and you're going to take a $7 million dead cap hit, you would take that. So there's also some strategy of being ahead of the curve on some of those players too, which is why they need to get something done with Trent McDuffie.
Well, that was you beat me to it.
Before Sauce gets his contract
done.
What
you're saying right now is everything is That's why. I mean, the time to get Trey Smith and Nick Bolton done is over.
Yes, that was last year.
That's last year.
It was before Robert Hunt.
Now your number one priority should be to get Trent McDuffie done as soon as you can, because the longer that you wait, the longer to get it done. Now the player can always bet on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if
that
Trent
can
McDuffie
happen.
was smart, I'd probably say I'm going to wait till next year, and I'm going to let Sauce and who else would be that could surpass
Christian Gonzalez was after him.
Stingley's up.
Derek Stingley.
So Stingley and if Stingley and Sauce get past Surtain, then Trent McDuffie can ask for Surtain money. Because right now it's like, I mean, Trent, you're awesome, but we're talking about top of the market for Pat Surtain. Okay, well, if that market is reset by Sauce and Stingley, well, now he's saying, well, now it's my turn. So that is no longer the market is Patrick Surtain. The market is what Sauce and Stingley, and I'm on that level, so therefore I should get almost that money or that money, which means I'm getting Pat Surtain money. So if the Chiefs can get something done before Sauce and Stingley, then they can come in what I think would probably be below what Pat Surtain is making at resetting the market. But if I'm Trent McDuffie and I'm his agent, I'm probably waiting, right?
Oh, everybody wants to wait. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, is to wait. I mean, and let's face it, let's remember, I mean, the Aaron Donald contract was an extreme outlier.
Yeah.
But that's what held up getting something done with Chris Jones, because that number was out there. And now in that
because
case,
the Aaron
you had
Donald
like
was the don't retire tax that they put on that contract.
I mean, you had like a $7 million gap between Aaron Donald and the second highest paid defensive tackle. Now you're trying to figure out where's Chris Jones worth in this $7 million per year window. I mean, that was just ridiculously wide. But that's the chance that you run into, because all you need is Woody Johnson or McNair's down in Houston, one of them to go crazy and say, hey, we're going to give our corner $30 million a year. And now all of a sudden, Trent McDuffie and his agent are saying, well, we're at least on par with those guys. So, if you're not going to pay us at least 30, it's going to be 29.
Yeah. Surtain signed 4 years, $96 million. 77.5 of that's guaranteed for Pat
Because
Surtain.
Denzel Ward had the 5 for 100, correct? Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So 4 for 96. The total value, contract value, Denzel Ward, Pat Surtain is fifth. Denzel Ward is first with $100 million. Marshawn Lattimore 97.6, Humphrey 97.5, and then Diggs 97. More years.
Yes.
Surtain 4 years, $96 million.
His AAV was the highest.
Yes. So his AAV is $100,000 less than Ramsey, I think. So,
Okay.
like, Jalen Ramsey signed a 3-year, so he's like 24.1, and Surtain is $24 million per year. But that's still $3 million more than the next guy at Jair Alexander at 21. Like, it's still Pat Surtain at 4 years doing that, and not a Jalen Ramsey extension that we're going to give you this annual per year basis. That's going to be a great pat on the back and
of course
bragging rights for you.
The guaranteed money is
but for Surtain,
a lot for
we're giving
Surtain.
you almost $80 million guaranteed for 4 years, and $3 million more per year than the next closest cornerback, which was Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
That's how much Surtain reset the market. And now McDuffie's going to come in between Surtain and Alexander if he signs before Sauce and Stingley. I think if he signs after Sauce and Stingley, you're probably looking at Pat Surtain money.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you're at the risk of another owner and another player and another agent setting the standard if you don't get it done. Now, once again, it takes two to make a deal.
Yeah.
So if Trent McDuffie wants to wait until somebody else gets their deal so that he can get his done, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Would it matter to Trent McDuffie to say, all right, man, you wait till next year and you might get $80 million guaranteed? Or you sign on the dotted line right now, we're giving you $72 million guaranteed, and still the contract you're going to make this year, and you've got the $72 million guaranteed no matter what, and you're still a Chief. And we're not going through this BS next year. We're not going through all that. What's that worth to him? I don't know. That's his decision and his agent's decision to be able to do that. But also, you know what? I don't blame somebody if they want the absolute most money that they can get, because as fans, we have a tendency to ask the player that plays for your team to take a hometown discount while not asking free agents to come to your team and take a hometown discount.
Right.
Like, no, you should take a discount. No, you've got to outpay. Like Trent Williams didn't take a discount to play for the Chiefs. Well, why not? Well, Trent Williams was a Chief. People will go, well, why doesn't he take a discount to stay with the Chiefs? Juwan Taylor didn't take a hometown discount to come to the Chiefs. You know, Orlando Brown wasn't taking a hometown discount, although he got a discount by going somewhere else because he got less money with the Bengals. Neither here nor there. Trent McDuffie, if he wants to take a little bit less money to stay with Kansas City, that's awesome. If he wants the absolute most money that he thinks he's deserving of, that's great. Buffalo's going through that this offseason too with James Cook. James Cook is already on record 2 different times. One saying, I want $15 million a year, and another one saying, I will get what I think I'm deserving of getting. Well, this is the year where you sort of go into that contract negotiation. You go into the last year of his contract. The Bills are $14 million over the cap already, and I think they're running into a James Cook holdout in Buffalo. If he's already on record twice saying, I'm going to get what I deserve, and already saying $15 million per year is what he wants, and they're already $14 million over the cap, like they're running into an issue where James Cook is like, dude, I scored 18 touchdowns last year. All right, I'm not playing for $1.8 million this year. All right, and I'm not going to, wait till next year and do the whole holdout thing. I want my money now. I want to stay in Buffalo. You want me here? Let's do it right now. So a lot of teams have some issues that they're going to be working through. Chiefs are just one of them. And, it's what happens when you've got an expensive quarterback.
I call him J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now, baby. That's what James Cook wants.
But, I mean, he's on record twice. He's not shying away from saying.
I feel so bad for running backs, though, in the NFL.
I think that's why he's fighting against it publicly and saying, look at Saquon. I scored 18 touchdowns. People are talking about this offense this year, Matt, for the Bills, and what I did for this offense in helping out Josh Allen. Saquon just went and led a team to the Super Bowl. Running backs need to get value, and I'm going to get what I think I'm worth.
And Saquon is like the only running back in the league right now that you can say was a value on a second contract.
Derrick Henry this year for the Ravens, you could. I
he's
think
really like on a third contract.
You could make Josh Jacobs. You could make an argument for what he did in Green Bay.
The problem is
I'm saying an argument.
Right.
I'm not saying they did, but I'm saying because Josh Jacobs had a phenomenal season, but we didn't talk about it enough because of a lot of the injuries to Jordan Love this year. But Josh Jacobs was the constant.
Derrick Henry was awesome, but I look at it and go like, the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley.
Agreed.
Derrick Henry and the Ravens got to the divisional round with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So without Derrick Henry, I think they're still in the divisional round.
Agreed.
That's why, I mean, from
Green Bay,
investment.
For Green Bay, I also think that they wouldn't have got where they got without Josh Jacobs. Full transparency.
No, he was amazing this year.
Because of all the injuries to Jordan Love.
But is it worth it? I think then you get into the sliding scale of, is it worth it, return on investment, to make the playoffs and lose early?
Sure.
Because you had a running back that you paid money to help you get there.
And by the way, we named 2 guys that really made a difference. We're arguing about 2.5 guys when we're not talking about the other
2.5 men.
28.5 2.5 men. Basically,
Right.
Derrick Henry's the half man in this one, which he's never been called because he's such a
weird.
large human being.
So weird. He's usually 2.5 men himself. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, hanging out with Matt Derrick and continuing to talk some Chiefs football. We'll get his thoughts on what could be happening over the next couple of weeks. You know, the franchise tag window is open. So, we'll see if the Chiefs place the franchise tag on T. Higgins and if the Bengals place the franchise tag on Trey Smith. We'll see what happens with those two. That's going to be crazy if it happens like that. I don't know. But Matt Derrick, we're hanging out at the Golf Show, Overland Park Convention Center. More Zone next. Hey, another snowstorm. Some more ice. Hey, it's negative temperatures. And maybe... going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Go right ahead, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. We're also getting some people signed up. I think we got $25 to Johnny's Tavern we'll be giving away. So if you want to sign up there, just put we just need Social Security number and the number of a major credit card is all we need, right? And date of birth.
Your first grade teacher's name,
so
the street you grew up on, and your
mother's maiden name, your first automobile, the city where you met your wife in, Social Security, and a major credit card, and the 3 digits on the back, the security code, and the area, the zip code that it goes to. That would be great. Or so it's for Sterling.
And we're getting to the point where if you just come over here and ask me for stuff, I might just give it to you because I don't work here. And you want a koozie? It's probably yours. You want Jason's bottle of Contigo water? It's yours.
That's tea. I got this bottle. Yes, I got this. Yeah. I got some water.
Don't worry about the golf show tickets for the weekend. I mean, we'll hook you up with those too.
Oh my God, the weekend's going to be here.
You need a jacket? I mean, I got Jason's jacket over here.
That's right. That's a nice one.
Hey, Matt, you want a beer? I texted Mick. Mick said I could buy you a beer, buddy, and he goes, all yours. I'm like, well, I'm trying to be a nice guy and be a gentleman and a scholar, Mick, and he's of all people to say no. I'm shocked. So now I have to drink 2 beers.
He typically does not
before
say
noon.
Yeah.
2 beers.
Well, no,
2 beers before noon.
East Coast.
No, it's East Coast time. I lived in Philly for 3 years, like 8 years ago, so I feel like that counts, right?
That absolutely counts, yes. But yes, we're at the golf show here, Overland Park Convention Center today, tomorrow, and Sunday going on. You can check out the tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com. You can get them at the door as well. And with Advent Health Championship coming up May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th at the Blue Hills Country Club, we're actually set up at the Advent Health Championship tent and their nice bar that they've got here, the tailgate at the turn, that's going to be at the Advent Health Championship. If you're here this weekend with the ticket to the golf show, you can redeem that for a free Advent Health GA ticket to the tournament coming up at Blue Hills Country Club, and they're discounting their tailgate at the turn, which is all you can eat and drink with the covered tent and the great view at the turn, and it's usually $100. They're discounting that. They're going to take your free ticket and upgrade it to the tailgate at the turn VIP for $75 instead of $100. I bet you could probably get sitting out there for the day. You could probably get $75 worth of, or close to it, of food and drink just by sitting out there for the day and getting the covered tent. And if you're in the, maybe there's some weather, maybe there's some sprinkling or something like that, great. Or the sun is out and just blazing on that day like it was last year, the tent works out that way as well.
And what's even better, if you're talking about views, at least one time you're going to get an even better view because Jason and myself will be there.
Yeah.
And Matt Derrick was there actually last year.
Okay, so now
I'm looking forward to it already.
So now it's only $50. Now that they found out that we're going to be here, that's too bad. Costing them money already.
They are going to pay you to come and hang out with us.
But we'll go. If we go tarps off, it goes back up.
Yes, that's right.
And if you come out, Sterling will buy you a beer. Apparently,
that is correct. You guys probably talked about this last week, but forgive me for sitting at home and watching TV shows and movies on my staycation about Travis Kelce and whether he retires or not. But did you guys play the Charles Omenihu clip of him on Fox Sports? I don't know if you played that or not on Wednesday.
No.
When I was not here. So Charles Omenihu was on Fox Sports. I can't remember what they call the show. That's Acho and McCoy and Chase Daniel.
Oh, Emmanuel Acho was on it. I for sure did not play it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's Chase Daniel.
Is it the facility?
The facility. That's what it is. The facility.
Oh, if it's Chase Daniel, then I probably did. Yeah.
Yes. And McCoy, who loves himself some Andy Reid. But Charles Omenihu was on it. It was a long interview. The one thing that I wanted to play from it was they asked him what his message to Travis Kelce would be. So, coming off that loss, Kelce wavering. Here is Charles Omenihu. This is the message he would give to Travis Kelce.
This would be like my message to Trav. Big dog, like, we whole organization, we can't go out like that, you know? Like, he's a Hall of Famer from the moment he says I'm done, right? So, but I think Trav has a lot left. I think Trav is an extreme competitor. I think he's somebody that loves the game. And I think in the storied career that he's had, going out like that, in my opinion, wouldn't be something that he would do. So I believe that he'll be back. I believe that he'll give it one more go. we have guys coming back on that team, that Rasheed's going to be back. So that's going to help out the offense. And I think it's the whatever holes that the team has, Coach Reed and Brent do a great job of getting on top of it real quick. They're not going to overlook anything that may have been a reason why we didn't come out on top. So it's going to be a retool, refuel, and get back to it. And we have Pat. So for a fact that you're going to be in the dance. For a fact that you're going to be in the dance.
That's facts.
So, it's all right, he's not coming back to maybe we might get to the for a fact sure. They're gonna be in there, and probably for a fact that you're gonna be in that championship game. So
you got Pat. That's why
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
because you said you got Pat. I was wondering on the defensive side, or because offense we feel the same way. For defense, when you got a player like Pat, do y'all think that we always got a shot because we got Pat?
100%. When it was 17-0, I was like, this is we're still in it. 24-0, we're still in it.
Easy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So. He's a great player, bro. He's an extreme competitor. He's somebody that he has that switch in his head. It's always on, but then there's another switch after on. It's just you know what I'm saying?
It's so true.
We've all been in that mode where, bro, it's you feel so unstoppable no matter what space that you're in. So that's how I feel about Pat, and I think that's how everybody feels, and I think Trav feels that way. So I think he's gonna have a lot of motivating factors as to why he wants to come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
So there's Minihue. He said his message would be, we can't go out like that, man. We can't go out like that. And that's Minihue as a free agent. So he's saying it from, hey, from the Chiefs organization, you can't go out like – that's kind of the way that I viewed it. I know some people looked at it and said because it was so bad, Trav may look at it and go, all right, I can't do it anymore. I can't look like that on a more consistent basis, where I can't imagine the competitor in him would think that was his final game that he ever played, was a 40-22 butt whooping where they just got dominated, and he had a dropped pass, and he talked about 2 other mistakes that he made in the game. You think that's going to be what he wants to be that's going to be his lasting thought of the Super Bowl? If he retired after last year, I get it. Makes sense. His lasting thought is, his last catch was to get him down inside the 10-yard line right before the touchdown. And had a great game against the 49ers and had that awesome run before, or a catch and run right before the end of regulation that he damn near scored on to win in regulation. That's different. I kind of feel the way that Minihue feels. Matt, I mean, is he somebody that would be so disappointed in your experience being around him? Not as much the last couple of years, but is he somebody that would be so embarrassed or pissed that it would actually force him to say, I'm done? Or the competitor, the opposite, go, there's no freaking way I'm going out on that?
I feel like that with Travis, I would not have blamed him in the very least at the end of that game and that week if he just sat back and said, you know what, this season took a lot out of me. I mean, because you can see it. I mean, I think you've been able to see it off the field more the last couple of years. I remember, I think it was last year that I ran into him at training camp as he was heading into lunch, getting out of his car, and I mean, Travis moves slow, man, after practice. I mean, because he gives it all. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that everybody talks about. Andy Reid talked about it during Super Bowl week a lot. I mean, and the rookies come in and see it, and they'll talk about the fact that hardest working guy in that team is Travis Kelce. And, that's the thing, is that I think that Travis can play longer, maybe a lot longer, if he just, accepts what his limitabilities are. Gosh, I can't talk. Hello, I'm a professional writer.
I like calling it limabilities now.
Limitations. There you go. Gosh, I mean.
I like the word efficiency there. Limabilities. Just get right to it.
Why say many words when few words do trick?
This is, I'm sure, the cold medicine kicking in. But
we're about to we're about to have some fun then. If you got the cold medicine.
Do you want a beer? Let's move this up a notch.
We can definitely invent some new words there. But if he just accepts that he's not 25 anymore, and that he doesn't have to go 110% in every single practice. I mean, Chris Jones is 5 years younger than him. And Chris Jones is already training camp.
Come on. Listen, Andy. I don't need to be practicing that whole day.
No.
I mean, come on, man. I want
Travis.
That
come on, he can take a couple extra days off here and there, a long weekend, whatever it takes. And he doesn't have to be playing 94% of the snaps.
That's absolutely right. Yes, 100%.
Take 70% of the snaps.
Yeah.
He can still be he's still, let's face it, he's still, based on the stats alone, one of the best tight ends in the league. Might not be the best anymore, but he's one of the best.
Do you think this took more out of him this year because the numbers, I don't know. He missed 2 games last year and didn't get to 1,000. He missed only 1 game this year and didn't get to 1,000. So a little bit different. So the yards per catch are down. He had the stretch where people were talking about he's done. And then he comes out and has like 2 or 3 games in a row where he looks like Travis Kelce. But last offseason was just riding high, top of the world, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, traveling the world with Taylor Swift, doing TV shows and all that. Shows up to training camp, feeling the best I felt. Wear and tear me, baby. Wear me out. Let's go. Right? Wear and tear me. Let's go. I'm ready. Ready for the season. And then all season long, just like, Patrick talked about 2 years ago, it wasn't fun. They won the Super Bowl, but he didn't have a whole lot of fun doing that. That this was a year that it was like the three-peat, but it was so much of the offseason, in the spotlight, whether the podcast or not, but you're even more in the spotlight constantly. You're the team people are talking about. You're not winning by enough. You're barely winning. So you've got these emotional games that you're, surviving and then having to do it all over you don't have a week where you just went, oh, that game was easy. Okay, we got an easier game coming up this week. They're playing a first place schedule. Did this year take more out of him than a typical year would have, that if he was 27 or 28, he would have just said, yeah, it sucks. I'm going to take 3-4 weeks to recharge the batteries and get back at it. But he's closer to retirement, so it's like, this sucked, and now I don't know. Maybe I need to retire.
I don't think there's any doubt, and I'll expand that beyond Travis. I think that was the way for this entire team. It's been obviously a long 3 seasons, but I feel like even that Super Bowl was a little bit of that. It was the culmination of everything, just kind of hitting that team all at once. And, hey, having a team that came out the exact opposite, full of energy, just fired to the brimstone, ready to take you on.
Thinking for 24 months about revenge.
24 months of revenge,
yeah.
Trying to exact on you. And because that looked like a team that had hit the wall in that Super Bowl. And, so I don't think it was just even Travis alone. I think that was true for a lot of the guys in that team. They just hit a wall. Mm-hmm. There's only so many weeks of having the target on your back. Because let's face it, the Eagles didn't have the target on their back most of the season. I'm not even sure they had really had a target on their back until maybe, they got the playoffs underway.
Detroit may have of any team in the NFC,
yeah.
Right? Maybe in Detroit.
Yeah.
San Francisco early on
the Eagles
start,
they were kind of flying under the radar most of the season.
Well, they were 2-2, and it was like, fire the coach. Like, it took a while before it was like, maybe the Eagles are legit this year. But it was like, they're legit but combustible all at the same time. So it's like, are they legit? Well, we're waiting for them to spontaneously combust and collapse at the seams, and wheels fall off, and they fire Nick Sirianni. But that obviously never happened.
And I can't speak to obviously what Travis does on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis and how it experiences him. I can speak to how I felt when I was 35, and
I can tell how it feels when you're 30.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do things at 35 that I could do at 29. There were things I couldn't do at 35. I could do at 33.
I was like that until I went to Heartland Men's Health.
You just start. You hit.
Now I'm able to do things that I was able to do.
There you
when
go.
I was
That
in
high
my 20s
five you
and
gave me
30s.
earlier. I'm still stinging from that one.
You know what? I'm a high five guy.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a Nux guy.
No,
Matt, what are you?
He doesn't. He's not a guy that says Nux. All right, I know that about Matt.
I've never said Nux. That's
I
true.
know he's not.
He's a booty bump guy.
I don't know about that either, but man, this is
I love that. By the way, Dylan in our ear. Dylan has said break for like 5 minutes, and then he just went break whenever. That was the most defeated Dylan break. I don't care. Your show. Break whenever.
No. It was more like in response to Sterling saying a booty bump guy. I was like, whenever you got to get out of there, Matt. Just whenever, buddy.
I paused because I thought there was a decent chance we were just going to hit the break. Right
I almost did, but it's
not even put it in our hands.
I wanted to give Jason a chance to throw it. Whenever I can't see Jason throw me the signal, it's hard. So it's not.
Yeah,
not easy.
I know. Dylan and I have worked together long enough that I just give him a look and he'll know he's going to break.
I will say, when you were gone, Dylan, were we late for any breaks?
That's debatable, but
we're not late for breaks. You guys were just early. We're not late. You guys were early. You know what? We do need to take a time out. We'll come back and continue with Matt Derrick. More Zone next. today, tomorrow, and Sunday. We're here till 2 o'clock, so a couple more hours to go here at the Kansas City Golf Show, hanging out with the Advent Health Championship folks as well. That's coming up May 15th through the 18th at Blue Hills Country Club. And you can get a free ticket, general admission ticket, to the Advent Health Championship Corn Ferry Tour event by using your ticket at the Kansas City Golf Show. You just scan the barcode at the Advent Health Championship booth, and they'll get you that GA ticket to the Corn Ferry Tour event. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. One more segment with Matt Derrick. Matt's going to hang out with us a little bit longer because there's lots more Chiefs stuff to get into and talk about. And then Mick Schaefer will join us as well. We got the cuts before the show is over. More Zone right after this.
right.
He didn't realize Matt was sitting right next to me.
I hear that a lot too.
And then I said, well, this is Matt Derrick. And he's like, oh, yeah, like I said, more Matt, less Cynthia. It was really weird. No. He was very complimentary and said, the
Cynthia's
show.
the best.
M squared. More Matt.
More Matt. LS. Les Sterling. That's right. Exactly. See? That's right.
Love Sterling.
Who doesn't?
Love Sterling.
Who doesn't give it? LL Cool J, right? It's a ladies
love cool
J.
Sterling.
That's right. Ladies love cool Matt. Matt Derrick is with us. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. All right, Matt, let's get into some of the things here. We were talking different strategies in, like, Joe Thuney came up in the conversation because he was named the Derek Thomas MVP for the Kansas City Chiefs, and his 1 year left on his deal with $27 million cap hit, what they may do with that. Adam Schefter, I joked about the franchise tag. Adam Schefter put out the most likely franchise tagged players when the window opened up and included Trey Smith. I think there's almost a 0% chance that they would franchise tag Trey Smith. My question is just, can they afford him? So can they afford him, and would it be worth it? So I guess, can they afford him is a yes. Any one player you can afford with the salary cap, you can find a way. Would it be worth it to afford Trey Smith what he's going to be getting on the open market?
Yeah, and as far as the tag goes, I mean, I'm with you. I think the likelihood of him tagging Trey Smith and frankly tagging any player this year is really low.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, they can't afford it. I mean, we're talking about just the short term. If you're just going to carry that tag even for a period of time, I mean, that's different than like L'Jarius Sneed last year because the Chiefs had a little bit more cap room.
Yep.
I mean, right now you look at the best numbers, maybe in the $7 to $10 million of cap space with the adjusted figures. For Trey Smith, you'd have to have $25 million in free cap space just to fit the tag. So, that alone. Now, granted, they could restructure Mahomes and get all of that money if they needed to. But then you're talking about carrying Trey Smith and carrying that tag. And how long can you carry it? Well, not very long, because if you want to sign any other free agents, if you want to get anything else done, you can't have that $25 million sitting on the cap. So probably not going to happen. Now, what can Trey Smith get on the open market? That's a really good question because, I've seen ranges anywhere from 20 to 25 million. And I mean, I think the 25 estimates could be reasonable because even though that would be blown away, I think right now, I think Landon Dickerson and some of those guys are in the $20 million range.
Robert Hunt and those guys.
But remember, you're talking about a lot of guys who, signed with their current teams.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're always going to pay more for a free agent than you do for re-signing your own guys. So that's just one of the benefits you can get if getting it done when you deal done early. But
Robert Hunt was 5 years, $100 million,
and that's the hey.
And that was as a free agent moving teams.
Yeah. So what's the next evolution? I mean, Trey Smith ticks all the boxes. He's good. He's been durable. There might be some teams that are still worried about the health, so maybe that'll hurt him a little bit.
I was going to say, question for you. We keep all assuming he's going to get at least a minimum of a Rob Hunt contract. Any chance it's not that? I don't think he's made a Pro Bowl, which, again, I'm not saying should be the determining factor, but he's not made a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro, correct?
Not yet.
So,
no.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I agree, not yet.
Yeah.
We think he's really good, but will teams say, hey, are we going to pay – because Hunt, I think, had only made one at that point, if I'm not mistaken. Just throwing that out there, or making sure we're not all over-assuming what he's going to get, and then the market determines maybe it's an $18 million a year contract versus 23.
Robert Hunt made his first Pro Bowl this year.
Okay,
so he wasn't even a Pro Bowler.
So then it would be the same thing as
Rob
Hunt.
He got 5 for 100. I think it's going to be 5 for like 115 for Trey Smith.
I agree.
mean, that would be smack dab in the middle of the curve. I mean, as far as the estimates
go. About 22,
so
23 million
amount.
per year.
I agree.
And now, if you're the Chiefs, can you pull that off? Considering that you've already committed $76 million over 4 years to your center.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have Trey Smith back. I just don't think it's I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it is smart strategy. Yes, they need help on the offensive line. They need help on the left side. But I just don't think you can have the two of the highest paid guards in football and the highest paid center in football in the interior and be looking for a left tackle and then needing to sign Trent McDuffie long-term and Karlaftis, and you've got some other questions as well. Justin Reed's walking as a free agent, or you got to re-sign him. It's just that's too much of an investment for a guy at the guard position.
And you're paying your right tackle $20 million.
That's right. Yes, for at least one more year.
So
and Joe Tooney, if he comes back, I think it's one or the other, correct, in your mind?
Either Tooney or Trey. You can cut
you can
Joe
find
Tooney,
a way, yes, and then
save $17 million and then use that towards Trey Smith.
I mean, and the Chiefs, let's face it, they haven't drafted poorly either. Maybe not as good as the Eagles have drafted, but they've drafted with the premise that they might have to replace all three of those guys this year.
Yeah.
They don't have to replace Creed now, so they know that. But, hey, Mike Caliendo started the year for him at left guard. Do they feel like that's survivable? Is he a replacement level quality guard? Maybe. Hunter Norzad, they're very high on. Hunter Norzad, I think, can start right now. He could be, and then you factor in Kingsley Suamataia, who's going to be a guard
like
too.
Kingsley's probably going to be the replacement at right guard for Trey if he walks?
I could certainly see Kingsley and Hunter Norzad as your starters next year.
If they were so high on Norzad, just thought process here. If they were so high on Norzad, why didn't he get a crack when Caliendo was struggling?
I think I've got an answer, but Matt.
I
was just going to say familiarity with the offense. Caliendo's been in it for a couple of years,
sure.
As opposed to Norzad's only real playing time was that last game against Denver.
I don't get why. I get why he got the first crack.
Yeah, that would be
But once the struggles persisted, I guess my thought, if they like Norzad so much, why didn't he at least get an opportunity?
That would be my theory.
I think the other part of it too is that I think that their assessment of Caliendo's was different than maybe the public assessment of Caliendo. I think that's would probably be the biggest thing to me.
Well, I hope their assessment of Caliendo was he wasn't nearly good enough.
Well, like I said, I think you're.
Is
he replacement level? Yeah, that's now. If you got a really good offensive line, you got one spot that's a little weak. Hey, the weaker than the others, that's fine. But that you probably can't do that if you've got two weak spots. If left tackle's still unaddressed, so
fair.
Yeah.
And can you afford to pay Trey Smith when you don't have left tackle figured out? I don't know.
And my answer would be no. Like, if whatever money that they would pay towards Trey Smith, I would rather that be invested towards a left tackle.
But why I agree with that, Jason, I don't
why do
know.
You agree with it?
I don't know who's going to be the guy.
That's the problem.
Because I don't think Cam Robinson, he's had his issues, obviously, in Jacksonville, and he was basically only signed because Minnesota really needed help when Christian Darrisaw went down. Ronnie Stanley, of course, the one time he's played a full season, came in a contract years. There's a lot of question marks there.
Yep.
And then when you look at the draft, which we did a great breakdown because of Nick Jacobs, you basically got to be the top 23 at least to get a left tackle, unless you're going to get lucky, which, again, it happens. There are outliers like Jordan Mailata, but is that who you're going to bet on? I don't think you want to bet on that. So what it comes down to is we all agree left tackle needs a spot. The Chiefs have the money if they let Trey Smith walk to invest in the left tackle. There's just no one, in my opinion, there's no one out there.
The only person that would be where you would be betting on what you've seen the last couple of years, the age fits into what the Chiefs typically do. He's not 27 years old yet, and he won't cost you Ronnie Stanley and Cam Robinson money. And that would be Alaric Jackson from the Los Angeles Rams, their left tackle. That's 26 years old, is a free agent.
He was the outlier too. He was the only undrafted starting left tackle in the NFL. Is Jackson?
He was pretty good this year. He gave up 2 sacks and committed 3 penalties, and finished top 20 in pass blocking and run blocking grades for all left tackles.
Yeah,
finished for all left tackles. Finished top 10.
Wow.
in all those different grades. And he's going to be just a full-on free agent. Now, maybe the Rams franchise tag him and keep him, but there's talk of them not keeping him around because they may let Matt Stafford walk. Like, there might be, Matt Stafford might not be in L.A. Like, the Baltimore Ravens and media are talking about Alaric Jackson instead of Ronnie Stanley because you're looking at probably $14 or $15 million per year for 4 years as opposed to $20 to $22 million a year for 4 years for Ronnie Stanley. So, and you're getting a 31-year-old in Ronnie Stanley, whereas, again, you're getting a 26, going to turn 27-year-old in Jackson. You've got a more established guy in Ronnie Stanley that when he's healthy, he's really good. And you've got a guy that in his 4th year went from undrafted to playing guard and tackle So the last 2 years playing left tackle, and this year playing at an above-average left tackle spot. Is that worth $15 million per year for that guy for 4 years to say we got a 27-year-old and we'll put him next to Joe Thuney and we'll get him in here with Andy Heck because they love Andy Heck, whether that's real or not, that we're betting on this guy and not having to trade multiple draft picks to move up and get a rookie and not having to pay max for Ronnie Stanley. Well, that's sort of the middle of the pack kind of option there, if they even want to go that route.
And then devil's advocate will be, do you want to get into a bidding war for a 27-year-old tackle with one good season?
Agreed.
With one outlier season.
Agreed. And do you want to get in a bidding war for Ronnie Stanley with one healthy season? A really awesome tackle, but a 31-year-old with one healthy season.
And I always give the notion that the Chiefs could be bluffing. So maybe sometimes they hold things close to the vest and don't let things out there because, hey, they want to disguise what they're thinking a little bit. But I haven't really gotten any sense that the Chiefs have much interest in Ronnie Stanley for exactly the purposes that you guys have laid out. I mean, its age and injury history is just not in his favor. And if you're the Chiefs, you certainly can't go down. And then the two is that they had the kind of experience with Orlando Brown is that, hey, the blocking, it might work. That scheme works in Baltimore for their offense. But when they got Orlando, it was like felt like they had to rebuild Orlando to fit their scheme entirely. And is that going to be the same thing with Ronnie Stanley? And that can be the same thing with a guy like Alaric Jackson too. I mean, are you bringing in a guy from another system that has found the system that he fits perfectly in, and then all of a sudden you bring him into your team and wait a minute, you know what? He sets differently. He uses his footwork differently, he drops his hands.
He didn't give up sacks because they were protecting him certain ways. They were designing plays around him.
Could have been.
He didn't commit penalties because they had help and things like that. You never know.
They probably run more with Kyron Williams.
Yeah, they probably do that, sure. But, if we look at PFF grades, it's a data point. Ronnie Stanley's overall offensive grade this year as a left tackle was a 70.7. Alaric Jackson's was 78.4. Run blocking grade, Ronnie Stanley 62, Alaric Jackson 75. Ronnie Stanley pass blocking grade 80.9, Alaric Jackson 79.2. So, I mean, pass blocking grade is indiscernible. Run blocking grade is much better, and the offensive grade overall for Alaric Jackson is better than Ronnie Stanley. It's Pro Football Focus. People like it. Some people don't. Whatever.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, exactly.
If it fits my narrative, I love it. If it doesn't fit my narrative, it is just it's brutal.
But I mean, that's the decision that they have to make. Do you transfer the money you would give to Trey Smith over to a left tackle, or do you do what Nick Jacobs was showing as in visual learners? Here it is on this graph of. This is where you have to get if you're going to get one of these top tackles. You're going to have to get into the top 20, mostly top 16, if you're going to get one of those tackles.
I mean, half the left tackles in the league are top 23 picks.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, but the one being 23 after that, it was like top 16. It was like a seven. Wasn't it like a seven-spot gap?
There was 2 in the 20. Only 2 in the 20.
Was there another one
at 20 and one at 23?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a bunch more at right tackle. They're all top 20, top
Penei
25
Sewell,
picks.
Alt. I mean. You got to go back a while before you get a real left tackle who was drafted and stuck at left tackle early on.
Garrett Bowles was 20th.
Yeah, Garrett Bowles. But also, it's kind of why I pushed back a little bit on why people who give up on Kingsley Suamataia so early, a lot of those guys at left tackle, it took them a year or two to develop. The issue is the Chiefs are so darn good, they're perpetually going for Super Bowls. If you're on the Panthers or the Giants, like Andrew Thomas, they could afford year one to let him struggle for a year because they were going to win 4 games. The Chiefs weren't able to let Kingsley Suamataia struggle for 17 games because the season would have been sunk. So different situations and schemes, and it just plays a huge factor here. The Chiefs, to me, feels like DJ Humphries is going to be the option. To me, it feels like they're going to re-sign DJ. He's going to be cheap.
Possible.
He'll be cheap. And have him and Kingsley go after it in training camp. That's my best estimation as it sits right here on February 21st.
And here's the other part of the equation that's worth considering too, and this is also kind of goes back to to what you were saying, Sterling, about data points that fit your narrative, because you could also build the case to say, hey, wait a minute, the Chiefs' 2 biggest successes at offensive line in the last decade are Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Are those guys any better than they were when they walked in the door? Or are they exactly as good as when they walked in the door? And
was
yet
the
the
scouting
Chiefs
and drafting.
have invested
Yeah.
picks in Kingsley Suamataia, in Wanye Morris, in Lucas Niang, and
Darian Kennard,
C.J.
C.J. Hansen, Ethan Driscoll Ethan Driscoll was undrafted.
Have any of these guys developed?
Yeah, Wanye Morris.
I mean, you could certainly say they have some successes. I mean, Andrew Wiley was a success. Nick Allegretti has been a success. Of course, those guys went on to other teams, and you didn't keep them. So,
that's one
is there something to look at, one, your scouting, and two, your development of offensive line?
Well, I would say that,
if the Chiefs aren't looking hard at both those things, they should be.
I think there's people love Andy Heck, but I think if we're questioning Matt Nagy for the offense when it's Andy Reid's offense, then Andy Heck should be questioned about what's going on with the offensive line. Not saying he should be fired, but nobody's beyond reproach. Like, okay, so why haven't we seen an improvement from Wanya from one year to the next? Why haven't we seen why is Caliendo in year 3 and looks like that as a guard?
And he's undrafted too.
And he's an undrafted player, exactly. Yeah. But Wanya, Kingsley right at the gate. How did they look at Kingsley in training camp and say, this is our starting left tackle? And 2 games in say, that guy can't see the field anymore. Went from starting left tackle to he's not playing left tackle for us anymore. Like, in fact, he's going to play guard. That's whose assessment was it that guy was your starting left tackle?
And if your big sticking point, the big issue when you had your Orlando Brown that came in was that you had to get him to fit your system and change his coaching and change his technique to fit what you're doing, is that an indictment on what you're doing? I mean, should your offensive line be more plug and play, that guys can come in and it's not going to be something radically different from what they're doing in Baltimore or Washington or anywhere else?
Now, when it comes to free agents, which again, this is an interesting one too, where it might not just be drafting, it could also be the guys they are going after, and it could be scheme. If it's just so difficult for players to come in and make an impact, Mike Rimmers, Osimile, Daniel Kilgore, Joe Tooney was great. But Joe Tooney was already a fit.
Awesome.
But Joe Tooney was already great. It wasn't like they needed to make him better.
Best guard out there.
Kyle Long, Austin Blythe, Christian, Prince Teguanogo, Juwan Taylor, who's not improved, Donovan Smith, nice year, DJ Humphries. I mean, that's the list of free agents. And then the trade was Orlando Brown Jr. But of those names, the only one that really stands out was Joe Tooney. But he didn't get better. He just stayed the same. Which of those guys got better when they were signed here as free agents? They weren't huge names, most of them. Yeah. Fair, which is fair. But Juwan Taylor was a big name. Didn't get better. Osimile, Daniel Kilgore, Austin Blythe, Jerron Christian. Did they get better? Did Prince Teguanogo get better?
I thought Rimmers was fine at right tackle. But, getting better, all of that stuff that we're talking about. Yeah.
Did Orlando Brown Jr. get better, or did he stay the same?
I mean, if you're talking about if we're talking about the Andy Reid era, and I'm just thinking of guys off the top of my head, I mean, the guys who got better and succeeded, I mean, for the most part, we're all talking about guys that started somewhere else or were undrafted guys. I mean, Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti was a 6th-round pick. Schwartz came over and was a great success, obviously.
Success, yeah.
All these guys
developing Eric Fisher,
I mean, Austin Ryder, was a player who's another system that came in. The Chiefs got the most out of it.
That's
so,
true.
There's clearly an ability to identify some talent.
Yeah.
But when you have that much inconsistent range, and now some of it is certainly where you're drafting and some realistic expectations about where you're drafting, because as much as people want to believe mock drafts and all of this, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, hey, getting Kingsley Suamataia at the end of the 2nd round when some people thought he was a first-round draft pick. Well, guess who did not think he was a first-round draft pick? All 32 NFL teams, because every single one of them passed on him.
And he was a late second-rounder. It's not like anybody was trading up in the first.
All 32 passed on him in the 2nd round as well. I mean, the Chiefs were the only team taking him in the 2nd round. So what was he? He was the 3rd-round draft pick. So, I mean, that's just temper your expectations.
Well, and that's why I look at Kingsley and I'm like, it's not that I'm saying, well, I'm going to totally give up on him on tackle. It's that it certainly feels like he's going to be more of a guard. The Chiefs feel like he's more of a guard. And the question is he a guard or is he the outlier can play left tackle as a late 2nd-round pick? I'm going to bank on probably him being a good guard as a 2nd-rounder than one of the outliers in the NFL draft of not being a top 20 or first-round pick in the NFL and being a late 2nd-rounder that then turns out to be a starting left tackle that plays at a high enough level that the Chiefs need, at a higher level than, unfortunately, what they got from Joe Tooney in the Super Bowl. but a high enough level of what they got from Joe Thuney outside of the Browns and the Super Bowl. Those other games. They got good enough tackle play. They just didn't get good enough guard play, tackle play, whatever combined on that overall offensive line. And I love Trey Smith. I am more than willing to let another team overpay for him. Let another team look at him and go, oh, my God, we're getting Trey Smith, and not have watched every one of his snaps. I think he's an amazing dude. I think he's awesome for the community.
He is.
I think he's great for the city, and I would love for him to play every year of his career in Kansas City. But it's a salary-capped league, and that's just doesn't make sense from a success standpoint.
100%. I guess the one pushback I have just after having this conversation, what makes us think that the Chiefs will be able to fill that spot with any sort of consistency? Guard should be easier. But as we've gone through that list of players, we've gone through the draft, we've gone through free agents, that almost makes it feel like the Chiefs need to pay Trey Smith more so because they've struggled to fill the offensive line with talented players.
And there's an argument to be made there for sure.
Not saying they should. I'm just
when you hit on a 6th-round draft pick, yeah, I mean you kind of want to hold on to them and everything. And let's face it, I mean the Chiefs aren't finding another 6th-round draft pick like Trey Smith. Trey Smith was only available in the 6th round because of the medical history.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I guess it was a 2nd rounder by a lot of people's boards, and
I mean,
one of
and
the best
obviously,
guards on the board.
he was getting ready to go undrafted had the Chiefs not maybe made a move. So. Yeah,
they got a 2nd-round talent in the 6th round.
But
is
you
what
can't,
they because of medicals.
Yeah, and sometimes
they got a 3rd-round Justin Houston because of marijuana, who wasn't a 3rd-round pick. Justin Houston.
Sometimes you just have to accept that and just say, wait a minute, you know what? We got an incredible value for 4 years.
Yeah.
But
and won a couple Super Bowls along the way.
From a business standpoint, you can't necessarily keep the guy just because he was a great value for 4 years.
Right. I bet they would have loved to say, we got L'Jarius Sneed in the 4th round. We got to keep this guy. I mean, we found him and developed him in the 4th round, but you got to move on. He needed to go somewhere else and make the money. They got a draft pick for him. That was great. I don't think they'll do that with Trey Smith, tag and trade, because I don't think you want to carry that tag, and then that starts the minimum conversations with another team saying, well, whatever that tag number is, now that's where we're starting with Trey Smith. That's I don't think that would be the right strategy. They've got to look elsewhere. They've got to find other spots that you can fill on this team, and
I mean, especially when. You look over on the defensive side and you look at your free agents and everything, and I think Steve Spagnuolo is probably in Brett Veach's office every single day wanting to know how Nick Bolton's deal's going. And, hey,
Nick Bolton or Justin Reed? Which one?
Nick Bolton.
Hey, Javarius Ward, Kendall Fuller, come back to KC.
Little Mooney. But, yeah, I mean, we talked about the Ravens at the beginning of the season on defense throughout the year of the brain drain with all of their coaches leaving, that they had – 4 different coaches on that staff that ended up being a head coach or defensive coordinator. That staff, not this year, but in 2023. Their defensive coordinator became a head coach. Their linebackers coach became the defensive coordinator, and 2 other assistant coaches became defensive coordinators. 4 guys ended up in different spots. And throughout the season, you saw the Ravens' defense struggle. And then it got better and better at the end. You have that brain drain. You lose Bolton and Reed in the same offseason. Yeah, I think Jaden Hicks can fill in for Justin Reed. I think that's the plan, is for Hicks to fill in for Justin Reed. But you are losing your 2 biggest brains, your quarterbacks of the defense, on that side. And the Spags want that to happen in one offseason, or maybe Nick Bolton for a 2 or 3 year deal to keep him around as long as it's an affordable deal and you're not paying ridiculous money for Nick Bolton. Because, again, you don't need to be spending more money on non-premium positions. You need to find replacement level at non-premium positions. Guard is a non-premium position. You can't be paying a $27 million cap hit and then $23 million a year on the other guard. That just is not good business. It's not like, and I think the rebuttal to the, well, so you're going to let all these guys walk and just waste the 30-year-old season for Patrick Mahomes? My response would be, no, I'm not wasting Mahomes' 30-year-old season. But what I am making sure I don't do is waste his 31, 32, and 33-year-old seasons by just thinking about his 30-year-old season. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother, as always. We'll talk with Matt Derrick next Friday.
There you go.
I promise. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. More Zone. We're hanging out here at the Overland Park Convention Center. It's the Kansas City Golf Show. And Mick Schaefer is now kicking. You don't have to. You don't have to actually. No, you don't. You don't. Have,
Literally.
You know what? That's assault, brother. That is assault. Police. Excuse me, security. Security. We got an unruly individual here. He's throwing golf balls at everybody. His name's Joseph. That's what his license says. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Mick Schaefer next. someone sitting at the bar, and I'm like, yeah, I can't sit there for 4 hours. And Sterling was like, it's only 4 hours to sit here at a bar?
Yeah, no.
Sweet. That's usually our first stop.
Sterling texted me at 11:30 and said, I bought you a beer. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be there for an hour, so it's all yours.
That was it.
Well, I don't need a warm beer.
He was already on his second. So
yes.
He was like, I got 3 just
They're
in
cold.
case.
I mean, I'm a generous man.
That's right. That's what people say about him.
I'm generous. I was trying to be a nice fella and get you something.
So how many shows this week, in the past week or two, have you drank on? I know of 2.
2 already. It's Fridays.
Yes.
2 Fridays?
Yeah, was that last week we had Kevin Timmons on?
Oh, yeah. Whiskey
Yes.
Wine Down, baby.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to For the Kids, FORE, the kids.
So are you going to be – what are you drinking next Friday?
Price and bourbon. I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know. I mean, because it's back-to-back Fridays that you were –
Probably a liquid.
What a job where you can just drink on the job.
Honestly, next Friday's probably
like
gonna
Mad Men.
It'll be like a liquid IV because the event's Thursday night.
Yeah,
for the kids. Again, the raffle.
yeah.
Go there right now. Get the raffle. Incredible bourbon. Willet Purple Top. You name it. Pappy. They have it all right there.
What was your favorite that you tried last week?
Oh man. Well, last week there was
the wild turkey.
The wild turkey was great. They have the new Triumph that's also going to be in the raffle. But
I love the wild turkey. For me to poop on.
By the way, you don't think of wild turkey as top shelf, but they make an amazing brand.
The Triumph when it comes in a whole, or it's an ordeal.
It is.
If you win, you're getting a whole package. No, the one they gave us was that Maker's Mark that was special. It's a barrel that they picked out. Mick had some, Dylan had some back at the station.
Wax top with the Maker's Mark?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
But this was a custom one that you only have a certain barrel. Only had 192, I think, bottled, and it's phenomenal. I actually had a little bit of that last night, just with a nice little book. A little glass of bourbon.
Watching the hockey?
Watching
Bourbon
the
and
hockey.
You're not convincing anybody that you're cultured and just
bourbon and book.
highbrow.
It was Dr. Seuss. It was Dr. Seuss.
It was The Giving Tree. You're not Don Draper, right? You're not sitting there reading a book and having some bourbon.
I was in a robe.
In your easy chair.
Smoking a pipe.
That's exactly right, yeah. Watching the hockey, drinking some bourbon, right? I mean, that's what real men do, right?
That's what we do.
Yeah, I was just watching the hockey, drinking some chocolate milk. I mean, that's what real men do. You know what I mean?
I do like chocolate milk.
Men
it's
do.
Protein.
You know, that's right. That's exactly what I drink.
Strong
it for.
bones.
It's not that I'm a child. It's just for the
You
strong
have
bones.
Uncrustables a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, you know what? I might be on your side. So I don't know the last time I had one.
Welcome. Yes.
So at KSHB 41, when it's really cold and we're sending people out in cold weather and ice and snow and all that stuff, they do a great job. They exactly. They set up this stand as you leave for all the photographers and reporters to take food. You got all these chips. You got the dots, you got little sandwiches, and they had tons of Uncrustables. And they have bottled water, all that stuff, and you're not supposed to take it if you're just in studio and not going out, which I don't abide by that rule. And so I grabbed an Uncrustable. I was hungry one night, and it's a pretty good deal.
But if we're being honest,
pretty good.
It's kind of a lie. There's still crust on the Uncrustable.
Yeah, but it's not the bread crust.
But the bread crust is good. I actually prefer real bread to the Uncrustable
bread
crust. The Uncrustable
crust.
I
don't mind bread crust, but I don't. The typical bread crust is not around there.
But it's like kind of a misnomer because there's still crust around the Uncrustable. I feel like they're kind of lying to you. It's a technicality.
It's not a crust.
It's a technicality.
It's not a technicality. It's not a crust. The bread crust. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm going to cut off the edge crust, and I'm just going to give it to you, Sterling, since you prefer the crust. So
sure, do it.
There you go. All right, I'll just eat the skin of the chicken. You can have the rest.
Grow up. You probably don't eat crust on pizza either.
Oh, I do. Yeah, it depends on the pizza, though. I mean, if you're going to eat the crust, you better have some good crust.
Johnny's has good crust.
Yeah, if you're going to have, if you want me to eat the crust, you got to have some good crust.
That's why I get the ranch. I get to the crust and then dip the crust in the ranch.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you get like the garlic sauce or the red sauce, and you can dip the crust in there. You know, just sort of depends on what you're into.
That's a breadstick.
You know.
We're all on the same page. Our mouths are all on the same page.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Our
mouths enjoy the same stuff.
Yeah, we are such refined palates over the years of just getting to know each other. You know, it's like our cycles have matched up.
I am saying about
so long. Our palate cycles have aligned.
We are here at the KC Golf Show, and I'm sitting next to Mick's balls. He bought a lot.
150 of them
for after tax, $92.
That's
there's a bag of 50 of just whatever Wilsons and stuff. Some nitros in there
Wilson
for
makes
20
some good balls, though, the duo staff.
For like $20 a piece. I got 2 of those for my wife and kids, and then they have some. They're used, but some Vice bag I love the dirty vices, the drips.
Yeah, the
right?
drips.
And so you got 50 of those for $45. So it's a great deal. So those were the 3 bags of balls I got, and those should last us through like April 1st.
I was going to say those will last at least 2 rounds.
They actually just follow you, the same people, and they just get your balls back and sell them back to you because they're always lost.
Yeah, just go and find them. I work ahead of Mick, and then I stand in the woods and in the rough waiting for him to hit.
It's a 4 caddy.
Yeah, and then I grab it, put it in my pocket, and I'm like, I can't find it, man. I'm not sure what it is. You're going to need a foot wedge on this one. Just toss one over there. Oh, look, found it right here next to the rough. What are the odds?
When you go and play like at a place with real caddies, which I've only done a couple times, that's what they do on the tee. They go ahead and they basically know where you're going to hit it.
Which is, I have said, it is a little unfair. Not unfair. Pros get 4 caddies. They'll hit the ball into the bleep, and they're like,
I would lose far less golf balls.
You wouldn't lose a ball.
In playing on the PGA Tour.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I would score better, but I'd lose less balls.
You would score better if you're honest with yourself and you don't take penalties. But you'd be on championship courses,
That's my
so
point.
that would be awful.
The tips and the rough.
It would be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would score.
But we would lose less balls.
I would way less penalty strokes.
Galley rule is such a good thing. With your boys, galley rule.
You would shoot 180 with like only using 3 balls, as opposed to shooting the 75 that you do, air quotes, with the
I've never shot a 75 because I'm an honest man.
Okay. I only shoot 72s.
I've never shot a 72.
Never shot a 75.
Lowest is a 77. I'm an honest man.
Really? Lowest is 77? That's it? I thought you were
Minor
good.
Park, too. It wasn't even a great course. I mean, it was a...
So it was a minor park? Wasn't even a major park?
It was a par 70. I'm an honest man.
It was a double A or triple A. I mean, come on, man. Mick Schaefer's hanging out with us, speaking of pros.
Right.
You know, he's with us for the remainder of the show. Are you finally going to rank Mizzou, Mick? Finally going to put him in your top 25?
Well, no. I mean, I take it out the top 50. I'll have him in my top 50.
Okay.
Now at this point.
That's good. Because you're now ranking all the way down to 50, right?
That's it, yeah. I mean, I got South Carolina's there, and the Oklahoma States.
Of course, you got to rank
Colorado's.
You rank them far enough to put Oklahoma State in your rankings. Like, I do rank Oklahoma State.
I rank it down to 210.
Yes, I go all
Mick
the way
actually has Kansas third still. He needs to see more. He thinks the season. Well,
they're
he
pretty
goes off
good.
preseason rankings still. We need to see more.
Stick with it. Oklahoma State might have a chance on Saturday, boys. I'm going to be at the game as a fan.
Wow.
Oh, they're going to get rolled then.
Probably.
KU's going to win by 25 then if they're going to be there.
I don't think KU is good enough to beat anybody by 25 at this
point.
point.
By 25 on Saturday.
Oh, I'll take that bet.
Well, I'm not going to bet it, because that seems like a dumb bet.
Give me 15. Give me 15.
Well, I'm not going to give you.
Give me 10.
Well, actually, the KenPom has them at 16.
The spread?
KenPom has a spread at 16 points.
Oh, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, we'll see what Vegas is going to put.
KU is not good enough to beat anybody anywhere. I think
they're
in the mode that they were at the end of last season, where it's like, something's rotten there, and they were just getting the doors blown off.
Well, and hearing the comments from Bill Self on Tuesday night was
not good,
alarming.
Yeah, we just need to get away from each other for a while.
And I talked to Myron yesterday, and these teams take and now it's at the beginning of the season as opposed to February. But teams get this foreign trip every 3 or 4 years, and they always talk about, the foreign trip is not really about the games that you get to play because it's during the summer. It's about the guys and the camaraderie. You're at a different country, and you're just it just brings you together as a team. And we're hearing them say, well, yeah, they got to Utah on a Friday, played on Saturday. Sunday you wake up and you didn't play well, so you're still in the hotel. And then on Monday you're practicing and getting ready for another game then on Tuesday you got to play the game, and then finally we just need to get away from each other. Well, what do you think's going to happen when you go to a tournament site?
That's a tournament deal.
That's a tournament site.
I took that as this is been more than just the previous 4 days.
Yeah.
Right? This has been over the course of maybe the Big 12 season that we're just wearing on each other.
Yeah.
We need to take a break, maybe a minute for those few days. But, yeah, there's something rotten in Denmark there, man.
Well,
the state of Denmark.
And his tone changed. When he talked to just –
set the tone.
Well, after the game, and he was talking just to the media – he still had a little bit of a laugh when he said we need to get away from each other. But when he talked to Greg Gurley, that tone change was more or less like we need time apart.
Yeah.
We are on a break.
We need a break. We need to separate, because again, this is the time where I know it gets into if you're not playing well, it can start to really grind on you and be annoying.
Yeah.
And they did not play well in Utah, and then just getting beat down the way that they did and not playing anymore.
No.
Like, I've never seen a KU team. I don't remember a KU team quitting. Like, just be like, well, yeah, we don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be here out there on the floor. I don't care that I'm wearing this jersey. Don't care that I'm, whatever NIL money. I just don't want to be here. I'm ready to go home.
And you wonder how much that is. And you always hesitate to, question – college kids and effort and all that stuff, but I don't know. They're getting paid a lot of money now. So should you question it now? Because
it's a little different now.
I just and it's the kind of the albatross that's hanging there of like, okay, those. Yeah, the checks are still cashing there, aren't they? And you wonder. I mean, it's we talked about it the other day when you were on your month vacation.
That's nice.
The contract
time
year
away from us.
The contract year undefeated, right? We say it all the time. For 25 and 30-year-olds, it is a motivating factor, the money. And when it's guaranteed, maybe you're not at you're always giving your best. It's something that people that age struggle with. So you can only imagine 19 and 20-year-olds are going to struggle with that even more, to where it's like, all right, whether we go 2-0 in Utah or 0-2, I'm still getting money.
And I do wonder, like, the mindset of players. Like, look, there's an element of putting on the KU jersey, so it shouldn't just be transactional of taking the NIL money to put on the Kansas jersey. Okay, so there's a little more to it. But I do wonder, like, early on in the year, the way they were playing and they're winning games, and it's like, they have beat some really good teams early on that they wouldn't be beating right now if they played them. And I do wonder, like, the mindset that goes into it. All right, I'm going to Kansas. I'm getting the NIL money, but we're going to win a national championship. Yeah. I can win I'm AJ Storr. I'm leaving Wisconsin. I'm going to go win a national title at KU. Rylan Griffin. I made a Final Four with Alabama, but you know what? I'm going to KU. I'm getting more money, and I'm going to go help them win a national title with these veteran guys. And early on, it's like national title. We can do it. This group of players we see, we're developing. We're winning these games. And when it starts to fracture and you start to see different holes that are forming and you're going – and I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just wondering, like, you start to look and go, well, can we win a national title? Like, well, are we good? Well, maybe we're not good enough to win a national title. Like, all right, well, I came here to win a national title and get my money.
Should have said Wisconsin.
I'm getting my money, but or Alabama. Like, I'm getting my money, but we can't really. I don't think we're going to win good enough to win a national title. So, like, I don't know. Like, am I? I don't, because next year I can go somewhere else and get even more money.
The margin of defeats for me is the deal. I get it at the end of the year last year, Kevin McCullough was hurt, but that shouldn't have meant you lose to Cincinnati in Kansas City by 20 in the Big 12 tournament.
Right.
Shouldn't mean you lose by 40 or whatever to Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament. And KU teams throughout the years, they'll always have this lull in the season, late January or something like that, where they drop 3 or 4, and you're like, uh-oh.
Well, Bill Self's tenure was like 2.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my God, they lost 2 games in
they
January.
lost to TCU, but okay, it was by a last-second shot or whatever. It's not, I mean, they weren't competitive for 1 minute the other night, coming off of a game they should not have dropped at Utah.
Yeah.
And so when you owe me that $100 bet we just made of Oklahoma State and KU, when O State jumps up and somehow out of nowhere picks up a win in Allen Fieldhouse Saturday, what's the conversation like with KU? It's like, are they a tournament team?
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a little extreme at this point because
they're a lock.
KU's going to win that game.
Yeah, and they're a lock in the tournament, but it's
are they? If they lose that game Saturday?
If they go 1-4?
And they have Arizona and Houston left and Texas Tech left?
I don't think they go 1-4. But if they go 1-4?
I think even if they lose out, they're going to make the tournament. I think
at 17 wins? When's the last time a team with 17 and 15
I guess I'm
made the tournament?
I didn't realize they only had 17 wins at this
There's
point.
17 and
Mick, get them. Get
Yeah.
them, Mick.
17 and 9 right now. 17 and 9.
17 wins.
Dog right now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they only had 17 wins at this point.
Out of the school I graduated from.
Yeah.
You're throwing out these scenarios.
Yeah, that's, oh, my God.
So
they only have 4 more wins than
See,
Oklahoma
that's what
State.
happens when you take a month vacation.
I
know they're losing, but I'm not paying attention to the records.
They're going to make the tournament, right? But if they
it's only one team it's the eastern side of the state line that I'm really paying. We're talking about good basketball programs.
But it's like, what's that spread going to be on Saturday? 8, something like that, maybe.
Ken Palm is really close to what Vegas.
Oh, they usually are.
It's
okay.
So that's why I put Ken Palm on here.
Hammer the Pokes. Then.
It's because they're so.
Hammer the Pokes.
It's pretty close. It's not always. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 points off. But it's sometimes it's within like a half point or a point here or there.
But they go to Colorado. You figure they win that
Kansas
game.
lose out. They'll be
Texas
out of the
Tech at
tournament.
home. That's going to be a tough game. I don't know if they're favored in that game. And then you have Houston and Arizona left too.
Yeah. The issue for KU is these next two games to lead into Texas Tech next Saturday is get to playing good basketball against Oklahoma State and at Colorado to start feeling better about yourself to get ready for these three games with two of them at your home.
By the way,
oh my
Colorado.
God.
10 p.m. body clock time.
Yeah, so stupid. So ridiculous. 10 p.m. local time here.
And
at 9 o'clock.
Wait, is Colorado in Hawaii now?
Yeah,
why is it? Oh, no, it's still an hour difference. That's it.
Colorado, man. Jesus, dude. It's prime time. That's why. It's Coach Prime.
We've extended prime.
Coach Prime is like, no, we only play in maximum prime
It's
time.
literal prime time. It's the only time Dion could make it to a game, so they're tipping at 9.
It's
He's got some meetings and some interviews.
He's going to head to the combine real quick.
Because he's not. They came out and said he's not been to a single high school player's house or anything.
They come to him.
I don't think
it's prime time, 11 o'clock on the East Coast.
They don't recruit high school. None of those guys recruit high school players much anymore.
Yeah, no, I think they'll take care of business on Saturday and then next week against Colorado. But it's a matter of if they don't, then we're really talking about what's going on with KU and how bad it can get, and is there a change of process that has to happen with the program from losing in the second round last year as a 4 seed. And then being in Lenardi's bracket a 7, or maybe lower than that, or
Are
a
they
bubble
a 7
team.
right now?
I don't
in
agree
Lenardi's.
with Lenardi also has Mizzou as a 5 seed right now. So I don't know that. I think those are both probably one spot lower than.
You think 4 and 6?
I would say 4 and 6.
Yeah, I would say
now.
4 for Missouri.
4 for Missouri right now. KU, I'd probably still have.
It is
about
funny,
a 6,
because
they still have those
how much
wins
those
on their
championship
resume.
classic games can just echo through the rest of the season when it's like, okay, no, they've played worse teams than that way more recently, and not shouldn't. But they beat Michigan State.
Yeah,
they beat. Okay, that was a lifetime ago. Doesn't matter, man. They just
still a
latch
Q1
onto
win.
those.
But
college football will forget about an August 31st win by early November, right? Not college basketball, man. They hold on to them.
Yeah, KU has gone against Colorado. They were number 11 entering the game against Utah. They were number 10 in KenPom. And after the last 2 games, they're number 24 in KenPom.
Are they still
They dropped 14 spots in KenPom based on those 2 games alone.
Well, they should have
been. Check the BPI. Isn't
that.
KU still ahead of Missouri? Missouri's 23rd in the BPI because they weight so heavily the preseason numbers, which is it's absurd.
Yeah. Mizzou finally has more quad 1 wins than KU does. They got 6 to 5 now.
Yep.
And so I think before the Alabama win, which is crazy. You could make the case that KU had as good as a resume as Mizzou, even though Mizzou had way better wins and had beaten KU, but now not anymore.
KU has the 11th. They're ranked 11th in BPI.
Yeah, I don't think 17 and 15 makes the tournament.
I mean, doesn't KenPom still have
Missouri
Illinois
is 31st.
9 or something like
Missouri is 31st in BPI. If Missouri is the 31st ranked team in your ranking, and KU's 11th,
I mean,
your ranking
you got to put eyes on
bogus.
You got to put eyes on these games. It can't just be math.
KenPom's got them at 13, Mizzou, and Illinois is at 21 at KenPom. But Missouri's done the exact opposite of what Kansas has done, because Missouri's gone from they entered the game against Florida at 40 on the road, and since then they're now number 13.
They had a long way. I mean, right about the time KU was beating Duke and number 1 team, Mizzou was still on a 20-game losing streak. They lost that first one to Memphis.
Yep.
So that the gap that existed, the crevasse that was there between the two, to close that and then cross it was
20 and 5 since that. They broke that losing streak, and they're 20 and 5 since.
I don't want to take the time. Maybe there's a Google search out there, but what's the best league play turnaround for wins from one season to another?
Probably Iowa State, right? When Iowa State, what did they do?
They didn't start at 0, did they?
0 to Missouri's already at 9.
No, but I'll look it up.
I remember with Prohm, they had that horrible season and then bounced back. I think I remember the season you're talking about. But if Mizzou gets to 12, which they could easily,
it's 3 more wins out of these 5
games, and maybe beyond that,
I think 3 and 2 is what they should be at least.
And before 4 and 5 years ago, most of your conference you're playing 16 games, right? And so 12 would have been very hard to do. Yeah. It's easier now playing 20, but that it might be the greatest in-conference turnaround we've ever seen.
In conference, yes. Iowa State in 2021 went 2-22.
You can go.
Two and 22. They were 0-18 in conference.
Yeah.
And then they went 22-13 the following
year.
So
20 games.
20 game, but in conference only a 7-game. They went 0-18 to 7-11.
I mean, it's easier to do the big one because you're playing so many non-con games.
But that's still that. But they won 2 games. That was already 20 games.
Yeah, so they're already 2 games better in conference turnaround from 0 to 9 the next year. And Iowa State went from 0 to 7.
They've already won more games in conference than they did overall last year, right? Wasn't it 8 last year, 8 to 9?
Yeah, it was rough last year. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Dylan's saying it's pretty rough right now with the clock.
The time.
Warzone
sorry about that.
Coming up next. Come down and get your Advent Health Championship ticket, the Corn Ferry Tour at Blue Hills Country Club. You get a free ticket to that event with your Kansas City Golf Show ticket. So just come over to the Advent Health Championship tent. You scan a little barcode and or QR code, I should say, and then they're going to get you hooked up with that GA ticket. Also, for those that are coming down to the Kansas City Golf Show this weekend, today, tomorrow, Sunday, they are going to give you $25 off on the tailgate at the turn for the Advent Health Championship. It's an awesome, awesome spot to watch the golf. You got the tent. You got all you can eat and drink. It's catered by Jack Stack this year. That's typically $100, but for those at the golf show this weekend, it's $75 for that tailgate at the turn. So it's awesome stuff. More Zone next. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Mick Schaefer, hanging out at the Overland Park Convention Center, Kansas City Golf Show. Dylan Michaels holding down the fort back at the station. You can come here today, tomorrow, and Sunday to the Overland Park Convention Center, to the Kansas City Golf Show. Tons of cool stuff going on. They got, door bonuses of different golf balls and things like that. Tons of things you can sign up for, and raffles and different games you can play along the way. They've got the Yingling Flight, different tastings that are going on. We're at the Advent Health Championship tent. They're getting you some tickets for the Advent Health Championship Corn Ferry Tour event at Blue Hills Country Club coming up May 15th through the 18th. And just getting you ready for golf, really, because they've got the simulators. They got all these different types of clubs that you can try and fitting. And it was interesting talking to Rick Amos earlier that he said, before COVID, the golf show used to be a bunch of vendors that were giving away golf trips. That it was like, oh, you come down here and you try to win a golf trip and you kind of hang out, get in the golf mood, and, some different golf courses to try to get you on the course. But when COVID happened and so many people started playing golf because it was a way that you could socialize outdoor, do an event, or have some sort of an activity.
You could putt so much better because you had the foam little noodles in there. All you had to do was hit it.
That's great.
It's the best I ever putted.
That's right. And he said with that now, there are so many different brands and clubs and simulators and putters and to actually improve your golf game, not just, hey, let's get you on the course. Mm-hmm. No, golf courses, people are out there when it's nice weather. So now the golf show has changed to where it's more advanced in the things that you can do here. And when you're filling out some of these different entry forms from these raffles, there's some legit things to win in some of these raffles, too. So it's a pretty cool event today, tomorrow, and Sunday. So a lot of the cool stuff that you get for free anyway at the different door bonuses. And then also you can get that Advent Health Championship ticket, GA ticket to the Corn Ferry Tour with your golf show ticket here at the Overland Park Convention Center. That's today, tomorrow, and on into Sunday as well.
I don't know if there's ever been a time where I've come to the golf show, which I come every year, where I haven't ended up winning some sort of free round somewhere.
Really?
I'll go. Oh, every time. Old Kinderhook. Almost every year.
Old Kinderhook.
Yeah, I haven't found if they're here, but
they are. We'll find them together. And
yes.
if I win, I'll take you. If you win, you take me.
Honestly, I think if you sign up, Old Kinderhook's like, come on down.
I don't want to go. Great.
Come on down.
Old Kinderhook's a phenomenal
I'll probably busy
course.
that day, guys. Yeah, you don't want to invite me.
They have the Robert Trent Jones courses down there in Alabama, which you've not played the Robert Trent Jones. Those are a phenomenal run of courses.
Bobby Trent.
They have Bushnell here. If you're looking to buy a new rangefinder, there's some
great deals for Bushnell. I know the guys over there, and so every couple of years I'll get. I'm not a big rangefinder guy. I don't like to get it out. I'll probably lose it right with the binoculars or everything. So I get their watches.
Nice.
And the watches are great. I'm just get me out there, look at my watch.
I just eyeball it.
Yeah,
about 125, 130 is the crow
flies.
Be
like Tiger Woods, who hit sand wedge from 199 out at the indoor thing the other day.
Well, I love it. They talked about it, and he goes, well, normally you just drop off the first number when it's obvious. Like, clearly it's 199, not 99. Yes. And so he loads 99, like 199.
199.
And he hit it 100 yards on the – I mean, that's
he hit 99 yards.
It's a great shot. Great swing. But
if it was for 99.
Yeah.
Needed 99 more.
Yeah, you could probably tell that difference better outside than you can on a screen, I guess.
Probably, yes. Hanging out here at the golf show, though. Today, the Royals get underway with spring training.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about this, Sterling and I did at the beginning of the show, and the ABS system that started yesterday, the automatic ball strike challenge system. So you had the Dodgers and the Cubs that played yesterday, so that's the first game that had it. And starting today, the rest of Major League Baseball in spring training, but not every game's going to have it, only 60% of the games. The Royals will have all but I think 4 games that they play in will be the ABS system equipped, because only a certain number of stadiums and complexes
have it. So I was going to say maybe Peoria or Mesa or something like that doesn't have it.
So every single Cactus League that has multiple teams at their facility has it. So that's the Rangers and Royals, and then Dodgers, White Sox, Seattle, San Diego,
Peoria,
Cincinnati, Cleveland, and then Arizona, Colorado. So all of those.
So probably Mesa, where the Cubs are, will not have it.
Will not have it. Nope. That's one of the few times when the Royals go to the Cubs, they will not have the ABS system.
Who else?
And then the Grapefruit League, Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Blue Jays, Pirates, Tigers, Twins, and then they have one complex there that has the Marlins and the Cardinals together. So those are the only games that are played in those parks that will have the – so that they said about 60% of the games will have the ABS system, which you get 2 challenges per game. It's just strictly ball strikes. It has to be the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter. No communication with the dugout. If they see any communication with the dugout, you've lost your chance to challenge there, so it has to be an immediate. You can't do the whole hold your hand up to the umpire, hold on a little bit. It's got to be immediate, and you get your 2 challenges, and you keep 2 as long as you win your challenges. So you could have as many as 10 challenges if you keep winning them, so they don't run out. But if you have 2 unsuccessful challenges, you've lost them. And there might be strategy that goes along with it. You can't just be pissed because you didn't get a call you thought was close.
Don't get mad in the second inning with nobody on.
Right. Let's play Max Muncy, Dylan. This was from last night, and this was pretty funny because Dave Roberts came out a couple of days ago when they were talking to him about they were going to be the first team, Major League team, that would have an ABS system. They were the first spring training game yesterday. And Max Muncy is traditionally a guy who complains about the strike zone. He's got a really good eye, but complains about balls and strikes. And Dave Roberts actually came out publicly in a press conference and said there's only one player that's not allowed to use the ABS system, and he can't challenge Max Muncy. Not allowed to challenge anything. So Max Muncy, bottom of the first, digs in.
No way.
First pitch ball. The pitcher challenge. I want to challenge that. It was a strike. Max Muncy was at the plate for the first ever ABS,
way.
The one that Dave Roberts said is not allowed. So here's, after the game was over, everybody got a good kick out of it with Max Muncy being the guy that was at the plate when the first ABS challenge in spring training happened after Dave Roberts said he's the one player that's not allowed to actually challenge.
I was pretty positive it was a strike, and then the umpire balled it. It's also the first game for the umpires as well. So they're still hunting in their zones, but it was a pitch that I definitely thought was a strike. He balled it, and I look out, and the pitcher seemed very excited to challenge that one. And when he challenged it, I knew it was going to get overturned. And I went, oh man, I'm going to be the first one on this. That's great. It also kind of helps you when you see that. You can kind of know where that ball was in your mind, where the zone's at, so you can kind of tell if there's more to go or not. And so hopefully it doesn't happen too much, but it's interesting for sure. Freddie said I was banned from being able to challenge. So then I come back in here, and he's waiting at my locker, laughing in my face that I was the one that got a challenge on. So, no, they just joke around with me. Obviously, they know I have a good feel for the strike zone, so they joke that I'm not allowed to use it, and it's a good jest early in spring. It is funny how that worked out that I was the one that got challenged on. I think the idea is very interesting of it. To me, I feel like you have to be 100% certain to challenge. You can't. It's not one of those ones where you think it's borderline. Like maybe you have to be 100% certain. And in that scenario, obviously, like I said, I thought it was a strike coming in, and the pitcher thought so too. So he challenged it. But I don't think it's something that I would ever use if I was borderline on a call.
It's just funny. Like they said I couldn't challenge because I've got a pretty good sense of the strike zone. Is that why? Is that why Max is not complaining? He does have a great eye. I mean, he walks a lot. It's just his eye, and then it's like that was a freaking ball. I'm going to challenge that. No, because he also may be a little amped up sometimes in the game.
One of my concerns for this is it'll be a playoff game, and it's going to be a really important
moment.
Won't
be a playoff till 2026. So.
No, I know, but my point remains that it's a playoff game. Let's just say a strikeout happens. You're at home, crowd goes nuts, everything's awesome, it's exciting, and then they go, and then it gets overturned, and it would be such a deflating moment.
It's like seeing a yellow pop up in an NFL game.
I guess that's what it would be.
Yellow, so.
Like a ball getting knocked out of bounds in a college basketball game with like 30 seconds left. We're going to go to the monitor.
We're going to go to the monitor.
But you're right.
It is a little different. Like yesterday's 2 challenges happened on the first pitch of an at bat.
Yes.
So that's a little bit different when it's like, no, I thought that was a strike to get ahead 0-1, and it was okay. Rather than it's 3-2, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth.
Yes.
Strike right on the corner. Umpire punches him out. Well, no, I'd challenge that because also like.
And then you find out.
Wouldn't you challenge it a lot if you had a challenge left? Like that's the one
100%
thing.
You would challenge
like every last pitch strike if you're in the game or got somebody on and you struck out. Well, I'm going to challenge. It was right down the middle. Come on. I'm going to challenge it. Let's see what happens. But that could be a little anticlimactic.
Especially if it's like just like barely off, where you're like, come on, man. Like I don't know. I feel like I could see some areas where there's going to be, it might. be deflating
I
or
think the
take some of
positives,
the energy out.
I think the pros would outgain some of the cons of the issues.
Well,
with this.
for me, if they're doing this now, that puts them so far down the road to where I could imagine a world in 2 years where we're like, why is it just 2 times? Why is
Why
it
do we
just
have more?
every single pitch, right? We have the technology. It's instantaneous. Bye-bye umpires calling balls and strikes.
Well, and I think there's going to be more honing of the technology, and that's why they're introducing it now before, which will be, let's be honest, it'll be in Major League Baseball next year. Because Max Muncy also, in a different part of his press conference yesterday after the game, said that when he was on a rehab assignment last year, that he's familiar with it because they had it at AAA. Mm-hmm. So he was on the rehab assignment, and he said, the ball came in, and the pitcher challenged it, and the ABS system had the ball on the other side of the plate. Like he was like, and I know that those stadiums are a little different, so it's not. He's like, so it's not perfect. It's getting there, and I think that's why they're using it now to test it out, see what some of the issues might be, and if it's close to perfect at a minor league ballpark, then when you get into the major league stadiums, that you would have to have that honed in, but it can't be off like an inch or two. Like, it's got to be exact if you're going to challenge that. Like, the tennis system is amazing how they can just exactly where the ball, within centimeters
of the ball, and where it compressed. And
I love the shadow. I love when it shows the shadow, too.
Well, it shows how much it compressed. Like, it's not a round ball when it hits there. It's oval.
Like, you can't be off by an inch or two here or there with the challenge. And I was like, well, hold on. That ball said it came in there, but the computer said, but that was over the play. Why was it in that spot? And then you have to go with whatever the computer says at that point. Like, the umpire can't then overturn it and go, actually, that was a strike. I know that it was a ball. What I like about it, though, is one of my complaints, and we talked with Les Norman about this, is if I'm a batter and I'm at the plate, and pitchers have to go through this too, but if I'm a batter at the plate and I got a different umpire from the night before and the night before and the night before, and it's like, well, I've got to figure out what the strike zone is. Yeah. Well, what's his strike zone? Yeah. Well, you know what his strike zone should be? 17 inches, which is the plate, and then what the strike zone is in the rule book. Well, so I think that's what it should be. So that umpire, and I was saying to Sterling, like, Mick, how often do we say in a game, yeah, I know that looks like a strike, but that's been a ball all day. Yeah. He's called that a ball. He's been, what, as long as it's consistent, that's been a ball all day. But it's not going to be a ball all day. If it's a strike and challenge in the first inning, that's going to be called a strike then moving forward.
So, and I don't know, I don't feel like they do this on the broadcast now. Are they going to change the height of the strike zone depending on the height of
too. Like,
players?
So in the background,
I feel like it's the same size every time.
In the background, like if you look at the top of the box, so whatever the background would be, whatever advertising on that back little padded area,
it changes.
It'll change, and it's 17 inches no matter what the width, but it will change with the height of the player specifically.
Did they change it? I mean, how much should they factor in how much the player crouches and stuff? Like Ricky Henderson down there, right? I mean, that thing had to be like
I'm not pitching to Eddie Goodell.
5 inches in height from top to bottom.
Doesn't even have a full number.
Yes,
he's got it's a fraction on his jersey.
What I said, I think the unintended consequence in a good way might be, how Major League Baseball wants to get more balls in play, more offense. I think you'll probably see this because then every single offensive player, every single hitter knows what the strike zone is going to be. So they'll have more familiarity with exactly what it is, not what the umpire's going with that particular evening.
I think it'll help the guys who have really good eyes.
Agreed.
Really good sense of the strike zone.
Vinny
it's going to help
should be a huge benefactor of this. Salvi, maybe not so much. but a guy
like, will swing at the other batter's box like, he was going to chat. That wasn't going to strike anyway.
But truthfully, it probably won't help Salvi. But a guy like Vinny, this should be a huge boost. If you're Nick Pratto, and that was your whole calling card was you have a great eye, but maybe you're not aggressive enough, and that was some of your issue. Well, those balls that were called strikes because for whatever reason, whatever the umpire's strike zone will be, you should get a boost from this. So those are the type of players. Again, we will find out what it does overall. But I think an unintended consequence will be more offense.
It's interesting. I think back to when we were having the conversation about the refs and the Chiefs going into the Bills game and going into the coming out of the Texans game when everybody can play. So going to the Bills game and then the Eagles, like the conversation. And we asked ourselves, like, okay, is this going to then creep into the minds of the officials? Are they going to overcompensate?
Yeah.
I wonder if you'll see umpires we'll give more benefit of the doubt if there's challenging to a guy like, well, I know if this guy doesn't swing, it's a ball. This guy's got a straight, that was close, but I'm not going to call it. I'm going to make that pitcher challenge and say that was a strike because this guy doesn't typically take a pitch like that, and he took that pitch. That's close. That's a ball. I'm gonna lean towards Vinny, or I'm gonna lean towards Votto. Yeah. I'm going to lean towards this guy. If he's not swinging, Gwynn. If Tony Gwynn's not swinging, that thing's not a strike. So I'm gonna like if that creeps into the mind of an umpire that says this guy's got an amazing eye, Juan Soto, sense of the strike zone, and if it's close, he's probably right.
How about this? Instead of like having to go to, how long did it take for the review yesterday?
Like 10, 15 seconds, if that.
Okay.
It was quick.
It still might be too long.
They don't go to New York. It's almost immediate. It comes up on the video screen. Boom, let's play.
The technology of like giving umpires sunglasses with an infrared on there to where like they can visually see it, right? It exists there. That has to exist.
Like Predator.
That has to exist, right? To where like doesn't matter where you turn your head, that zone is going to stay there, and it's gonna ding if it hits it or not. I mean, I feel like we're just wasting time here.
Get to where the end result will be.
That's life.
Let's get to where the end result. We're just passing time till we die.
That's deep.
Wow, man, that's deep thoughts with Jack Handy. Why weren't you part of that on the SNL 50?
Well,
yeah, they had a Jack Handy, but it wasn't that good.
No,
yeah, that was one of my all-time favorites.
I know, right? I was so excited to see that.
Funny,
I'm like,
oh my
God,
weird.
It's going to be a 50-year anniversary. Jack Handy is it? Oh.
Did you watch the concert, by the way, Friday
night?
I
did not watch the concert.
You would have loved the concert.
The music one?
The music.
Did you see the introduction with all of the bands and musicians, and it was put together in that 50 years? The background production had to have been, it would have taken a year to do. 6 months at a minimum. If we're talking about the same thing for SNL on the music side, I think the concert one.
The concert the night before, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not just the concert the night before, but did you see the SNL 50 years of music?
Oh, I did. He's talking about the live concert.
Radio City Music Hall was live concert on Friday.
That was different.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That with Post Malone shockingly
Nirvana
was incredible. Jelly Roll, I'm sorry. That was a
the worst was Arcade Fire and St. Vincent and
David Byrne,
the Talking Heads guy, right? Yeah.
But David Byrne with Robin Byrne was awesome.
Robin Byrne was awesome. David Byrne was horrible.
But that's who David Byrne is.
You
can ask yourself.
Yeah, he didn't sound that good. You were better. You sounded better than him. And he was just out there
That's
being
what he
weird.
does. Do you know
what he did.
Talking Heads? This is what he does. It's like saying like Devo is weird. Yeah, that's what Devo is.
Yeah, that wasn't even like good weird. That was just like, okay, get him off the stage. And then Arcade Fire was horrible. They couldn't hit a note.
I just thought that was a interesting. I'm with you there. I thought Jelly Roll was the one that couldn't hit a note.
He wasn't good
which
either.
is a bummer because I like Jelly Roll, but that was just weird.
Which boy band was it? Was it Backstreet Boys?
Oh, the first guy?
Oh, he was so bad.
Well,
and he went down the stands, and the guy was it Seinfeld singing?
Yeah,
he was hitting notes better than that dude.
Well, it was a bummer. The other four guys all had it.
They were great.
The other four nailed it.
And I feel like this guy had way too many parts, right?
Well,
he was solo way too
too
often. Like, why are you giving the short guy who can't sing anymore all these lines?
Like Backstreet maybe shouldn't be back.
He shouldn't be back.
The other four, they should come back as
maybe it should have been Blackstreet instead of Backstreet.
No diggity.
No diggity, no doubt. More Zone next. Rick Schaefer, Dylan Michaels. We are hanging out at the Overland Park Convention Center. It's the Kansas City Golf Show going on today, tomorrow, and on into Sunday. You got some really cool bonuses at the front door when you walk in with your ticket. 6 great Life Golf rounds, free balls, Barry's Golf and Groove, Sim Time, Advent Health Championship ticket while they last. Not getting all of those things, but there's different bonuses that you get for buying a ticket here. Now, that Advent Health Championship ticket, all you got to do is go up to the Advent Health Championship tent, scan the QR code, and boom, there's your GA admission ticket to the Corn Ferry Tour
And then
event.
you can upgrade to the tailgate at the turn ticket for only $75, which is usually $100. So I'm going to probably definitely do that.
Yeah. Sterling and I do our show from there, and it was awesome. It's such a cool scene and view.
Sweet.
And what a great event. And to have Harry Higgs, win it on that shot, last year.
Greatest shot in golf last year.
Well, and you would have seen it right, because we were on 18 where it was set up, so you would have seen that right there, looking down. You have the food and drinks right there. If it's hot, if it's rainy, you have a tent. It is such a phenomenal setup. Blue Hills is great for it. Great event. It's a lot different than what a lot of these guys play on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
A lot more trees. It's a different setup. It's unique. And again, Harry Higgs with that shot, with the local kid, the local connection. And again, you're seeing some of the greatest players in the world on their next step up. Scotty Scheffler, if you would have been to the Corn Ferry Tour in the past, you would have seen him. Justin Lauer, who's already had a top 5 this year. Corn Ferry. Corn Ferry Tour is just, these guys are so darn close. And a lot of them end up making it, and you'll see the immense success they have almost immediately.
Because a lot of times there's PGA
right there.
There's PGA guys on those at those events, guys you've heard of who don't have their card this year for whatever reason, or just are like, hey, I'm going to step out, I'm going to play this because it's in my backyard, or I like this course whatsoever. So they're almost always names you've heard of, even if you're a casual golf fan.
It's the AAA almost of
it is.
baseball.
You got guys going up and going down.
Yeah.
Yep. The Saints are finalizing Brandon Staley as their defensive coordinator, so he will join Kellen Moore. So, there you go. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. Did not let you know that that was some breaking news that was out there. By the way, we talked at the beginning of the show about the hockey that was on last night, and one of the things that I didn't talk about was how enjoyable the broadcast was, because Sean McDonough is so freaking good. And I missed those big Mondays that it was McDonough, Raftery, and Billis. Those were, I don't care who was playing on a big Monday that night, but with McDonough, Raftery, and Billis doing the broadcast, I would watch it.
Well,
it could be a 40-point game, and I'm still watching.
He was voice of Monday Night Football for a little bit, too.
He's done so many different things, but he is brilliant at hockey. Like, there's only a couple of people.
Gary Thorne.
Yep, Thorne's
and
been,
him and
who was the
Steve Levy does it. I don't know if I would put him on his level.
The eyebrow guy?
Steve Levy? I don't know if does he have eyebrows? Big old
No,
eyebrows?
I was thinking of the actor.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, Eugene
Levy.
Yeah.
Okay,
no
very
relation,
good.
I don't think.
Mike Emmerich, that's what I was thinking of.
Emmerich,
Mike Emmerich
he's
is brilliant. And Emmerich and Sean McDonough are like two of the best when they're calling hockey. And so that game deserved a big-time broadcast and a big-time voice.
Does he
and it got it with McDonough.
I mean, is he like voice of the Rangers or something like that? Does he do
I think
a certain NHL team?
He does NHL games. I'm not sure if McDonough is the voice of one, but I know he does the NHL package broadcasts.
I can't imagine, and maybe part of it might be like I didn't grow up playing hockey. I don't watch a whole lot of it. But I can't imagine a tougher sport to do play-by-play at.
No. That has to be the most difficult.
And
just
seamless.
Being able to see the puck, right, and know as a glove save, as a stick save, is it in the net, is it not? Who's got? It's so fast-paced.
Yeah.
It's the fastest pace.
Understanding what icing is, because that still makes no sense. Everyone knows what offsides is.
It's a two-line pass.
No, it's okay.
You can't dump it in the zone over two lines. Yeah. That's an easy one.
No, icing's absurd.
You like icing.
So,
I would, if it were me, I would take icing out.
What about offsides in soccer? Would you take that out as well?
Well, I like in hockey.
I would do a zone like hockey has.
I actually
same deal.
Yeah,
do a zone like hockey.
I love hockey's offsides.
Can't you be offsides on like a corner kick? To me, that's the dumbest thing ever.
I don't know.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Soccer.
Sean McDonough
silly.
is just with the ESPN, so he doesn't do
He doesn't have a certain
one.
team, okay.
Yeah.
And hockey.
But I agree, he was phenomenal last night.
And it was such a good broadcast, and it was such
the halftime was good.
Game.
Yeah, Messier and Subban, is that how you say?
Yeah.
PK?
And PK Subban. The intermissions, not halftime, because there were three of them.
That's right.
There were 3 intermissions. We got 3 times we went to Messier and Subban and Levy.
And then we saw the miracle, the Kurt Russell
the
montage they had twice now. We shot twice.
Into overtime.
Yes.
And that got me some goosebumps. I was feeling myself.
The only thing I disagreed with was on that part when he goes, 9 times out of 10, that team will win.
Yeah.
But not this game. Not tonight. I'm like, well, they just beat them.
It's probably 5 times out of 10 for these two teams.
These two teams. That was the only part, but I loved it. Was so good,
Do they need a rubber match now? They're 1-1.
I agree with that.
I feel like it's a little silly. They're 1-1
tomorrow.
Agreed. Yes, they should play. It's like, how are those guys that either winning or losing? Like, oh, by the way, tomorrow you got games. You got games with your club, so you're bad. The NHL season back
hockey
on tomorrow. So there you go.
I love like NBA.
You're right. They're hockey players.
NBA All-Star. There's like going through the motions. Baseball, go through the motions, and then hockey's
that's a trophy. Though. That's
PK. He had the best explanation talking about the difference between NHL and NBA. He was talking about the culture. He's like, no matter what level you're at, you cannot step onto the ice and not be ready to fight. In a literal sense, in a figurative sense, I mean, you're fighting every possession, right? And that's just the whole. If not, you're not out there. And he went into the differences between being hurt and injured and all that. And he's like, just to participate.
Yes,
you've got to have this certain edge, this certain mindset.
We see the World Baseball Classic. Like it's the All-Star game in baseball has gotten better because we're seeing some great matchups, like pitcher hitter, and it's like, all right. I'm up here, and I'm trying to strike this guy out. So,
but still,
it's all
smiles there, right? Between at-bats,
you're
joking around,
right.
Hats on backwards, like home run. It's whatever.
I just love they were talking about
see that in hockey.
Like last night, and I'm obviously not smart enough and not experienced enough and watch enough hockey to know who they were talking about on the Canadian line. But 2 guys that cannot stand each other, that have fought, that there were issues with them in a playoff series, and they're on the same line.
Same team.
And even Sean McDonough talking about these guys don't like each other. Like they're out there playing next to each other on the same line, but they do not get along. They do not. But you know what? They're wearing the Canada jersey or the sweater. They're wearing the Canada sweater, so they're going to be out there playing because it's best on best. And it's for a trophy, and it's for bragging rights of countries. And what's going on right now politically with the 2 countries, I think, added to the juice of that game and the juice of the players in that game too.
Well, as Mick said, it's not just at the highest level. You look at the Mavericks. That's the AA of hockey, right? The ECHL here locally. And I was, there for the KC Mavs show last night, and I'm talking to an offensive guy. He's got 2 teeth missing from where like a puck hit him.
Oh yeah,
like that. You have to be ready to fight. You have to be ready to be out there. You have to be able to throw hands. There's a guy on the Mavs named Diamond Hands. He just,
as one is typically called.
Dude just rocks folks. But, I mean, that's hockey. Yeah. It's every single level. Like, you're not going to see that in high school.
You got to set the bleeping tone.
In basketball.
The bleeping tone.
I feel like you talked about the relationships between these guys. They hate each other on different teams and all that. I feel like in hockey, that's the only sport where you still have it. Kind of that old baseball mentality. Where the Royals hated the Yankees.
Yep.
Right? I mean, and now, I mean, in most sports, you got guys that are taking vacations together. Doesn't matter what team you're on. And there's so much free agency. Well, there's so much free agency, right? You've played with half these guys already. If you had a long career, you played against them, you played on their teams, all that stuff. And so it's way more friendly off the court, off the field, than it is in hockey when it is off the ice.
Dude, one of my favorite shows, I don't think we've ever even talked about it, but season 4 comes out in 5 days on Hulu. Shoresy.
Oh, shoot. Let's go, baby.
Shoresy, man.
It's an offshoot of Letterkenny.
Dude, so Letterkenny, Shoresy was a character in Letterkenny that nobody ever saw the face because it was played by the same character that was William in Letterkenny.
Is it like Kenny in South Park?
No, Letterkenny is
it's
a
town.
town.
No. I was saying that you never see his face. Is it like Kenny in South Park?
No,
not at
Letterkenny's the name of the town. It's a town of 5,000 people.
No.
And here are their problems. I know about Kenny in South Park.
No, I'm saying you said you never saw his face.
Talked to the guys the other day.
You see part of Kenny's face, right?
Yeah,
you do.
His nose.
It's the eyes, and stuff.
Yeah, but Shoresy, you don't ever
see his face.
And
he doesn't die every episode.
And you only hear his voice like off camera.
I'm a Trailer Park Trailer Park Boys.
It's very similar. Most of the time,
you like hockey? Go watch Shoresy.
If you like,
dude,
if you like gorgeous women, go
awesome.
watch Shorzy and Letterkenny.
If you like people talking trash on each other for 25 minutes with some amazing burns, and go watch it.
And watch
awesome,
with subtitles on, because it's like Canadian Hicks. That's the accent.
Yeah, for sure.
And most people don't have that in their
Lord
ear.
Jesus, I've never seen so many people injured in all of my life. Lord Jesus. Dude, Shorzy is awesome. I think Shorzy was actually in attendance. I tweeted, I'm like, was Shorzy there in a Canadian
he played
swim?
a high level of hockey.
Yeah.
The actor, I can't remember his name.
Keese, something
yeah.
like that. But yeah, dude, Sterling, I bet some players on the Mavs have watched Shorzy.
Oh, I bet they all have.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask him about that. It's about all the cliques in this town. You got the hockey players. You got the farmers. You got I think they call them the sluts.
The sluts.
You got
hockey players are sluts.
The Christians.
Yeah.
The drugged out emos.
Yeah, well, that's Letterkenny, right?
They have names for all of the
specifically
the
with Letterkenny, but Shorzy is just about the hockey team in Sudbury. Dude, it is great. It's 4 seasons. They're like
I think I've only seen the first 2.
Dude, it's like 22 minutes for each episode. You would you'd breeze through it in like 2 or 3 days, and it is absolutely worth your time. It is awesome because season 4 is coming out in like 5 days on Hulu, and I cannot wait.
Well,
it's
I can
hilarious.
pull Jason then and just miss 5
They
days.
have weird nicknames for common things like you do. Like they kind of talk like you do.
Like Biz and all that stuff.
Totally,
yeah, Biz is 5 and all. Yeah, okay.
But Shorzy's character is just freaking real. It's awesome. I can't even explain how great it is and how clever he is and how quick he is and the insults and just hockey insults, I mean, just like, it's so good, dude. And none of it is radio appropriate with a lot of the insults on Shorzy. Anybody that's into the hockey right now from last night, go press play on season 1 on Hulu of Shorzy. It is awesome. We'll click break right now, and we'll come back on the other side, continue with more Zone. We got cuts before the show is over. We're hanging out at the Overland Park Convention Center. It is the Kansas City Golf Show going on today, tomorrow, and Sunday as well, and you got some really cool goodies that they're going to be giving away. They got the golf simulator. You can win some time on a golf simulator. You can win many other things. They got raffles with all these different vendors that are out here, and of course the Advent Health Championship that's coming up on May 15th through the 18th. You can get a free ticket, general admission, to the Advent Health Championship Corn Ferry Tour event at Blue Hills Country Club. Free admission, a GA ticket with your golf show ticket. You come up to the Advent Health tent and scan the QR code. They're going to give you that GA ticket. And you also got a chance to get a discount on the tailgate at the turn, which is all you can eat and drink, catered by Jack Stack. So typically $100. They're doing that for $75 just today, tomorrow, and on into Sunday. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone, wrapping up the show, and get some cuts before the show is over as well. More Zone next.
Just like your shirt and your pants. Look at me.
Hey, that's a good shirt. That's a good sweater. It's a golf sweater.
Thing's a drunk hockey fan in the front row. It's so loud right now. Like, it's just screaming at people walking by. No, don't say that about him. That's not nice at all, stupid loud hat. But it is a really cool one because it's from Advent Health Championship coming up. I'll be wearing this when we're out there at Blue Hills Country Club. Coming up probably that Thursday or Friday. I don't know what day we'll be out there. We'll figure out what day. I just know the last time we were there, we showed up that day, and that was the day that Scotty Scheffler got arrested that morning. So it was a fun show.
I was out there too that day.
We had a great time.
Oh, yeah, we had Derek. It must have been a Friday.
Yeah, we had
I was out there as a fan. I don't think I went on. Yeah, maybe I did, but I was like,
it was a Friday because I had a golf trip that day, and so I did the show and immediately bailed.
You bailed at like noon or something.
No, I bailed at like 1. I didn't go play golf myself.
You mentally bailed at noon.
It was a nice pregame because I had the guys there to pick me up. It was awesome.
You bailed out in your mind. You bailed out at noon. So I think when you were getting ready to golf trip, you bailed out at 9. You bailed out on your drive to Blue Hills Country Club for that show. That was a mail it in Friday if there ever was one. Yeah. Man, we spent the first hour talking about Scotty Scheffler getting arrested. It's just like, what else were we going to talk about that day? I mean, come on, man, it's crazy. Are you excited to talk about the Combine next week, Mick?
I can't. I texted a couple people for sound off like, I can't. I'll be at the Combine. I'm like, wait, it's next week. We're there already? Are you kidding me?
I was talking about this yesterday. There is 1 week when the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl. There's 1 week where you're not talking about the game or previewing the Combine coming up later on that week, and that's this
Especially
week right
this
now.
game we did
that's
not want to
this week right now.
Back and
so
talk
last
about
week was you talk about the game or the immediate, like what happens now. This week is the middle, and next week it's full draft season. Like, it's Combine time, man.
Yeah, we've already hit the franchise tag window.
Franchise tag windows open up, man. We got 2 weeks away from, like, free agency getting underway, like league years. Like, it's unbelievable,
It's
man.
football New York because it never sleeps.
Never sleeps. There's no off season.
I guess we're 3 weeks away or 2.5 weeks away from free agency.
March
12th, like league
year.
year.
Soon, too.
Dude, absolutely. Next week we'll start talking draft with the Combine and everything. All right, let's talk cuts before we're done here.
Oh, wow,
Dylan,
done.
yeah. We are almost done, Mick. Dylan, take it away. What happened on cuts? Sorry about that. I did the wrong button. Sorry about that, Dylan. Take it away now.
I'll just go out on a wild limb and say Johnny Morton, but I know that's not right.
He had a couple nice balls, but it was not Johnny Morton.
Johnny Morton had a couple nice balls. That's what Dick
remember.
said.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
That's true.
So there you go.
And also, now that we're talking it out, they have to get sports and leisure to win, which I think if I'm correct, that's the reason why it's and leisure. Right?
Sports or leisure. It's SOL.
So Dylan, now you kind of proved my point here. Actually,
I'll just turn my mic off here.
Long conversation.
There's a little more.
Sports or leisure, as they would call it. Anybody with a brain would know that it's sports or leisure. That comes up at 1 o'clock. We'll talk with Myron Metcalf coming up at noon.
Do you know that Jim Abbott?
There it was.
What is Joe Tooney's weakness? He's not long.
Oh, come on, Matt.
How do you know, Matt? Like, that's personal stuff.
Locker room stuff.
Keep going.
Get in the driver's seat. I got to be over here.
And we didn't crash.
You didn't crash
we,
at all.
We hit some
tried.
curves.
No,
we tried.
Absolutely.
We measured some things, and we had. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We
the
had
FTC
fun.
has some questions, but all the same,
we
we're
can
doing
answer
okay.
them.
Yes.
We have legitimate answers, Dylan.
I'm like the driving instructor. I have a brake pedal on my side.
He's had to tap it a couple of times. You know, just get a little tappy tap.
I'm going to mark that
awesome.
too.
But
we did measure some things.
That's pretty good, Dylan. Got the break over there too.
That's a tremendous play again by Slavin. I don't mean to glaze him too much, but you watch him all the time.
Oh my God!
Cornerstone of a championship defense.
I heard that last night and lost it. I go, no way he said that.
He meant to say praising, so it's just a little mix-up. It happens.
Yeah, sure. That's what
we
go
to church and we sing Glaze songs all the time.
Well, let me just tell you, there's a lot of there's a lot of allegations of glazing on Reddit on the sad fans that we don't use for reasons that are known. Anyway, go ahead.
Do you have a dead car battery question?
Well, no. Is your car battery dead? Because I've been having issues with mine. So, we both need gas. We both need to fix our car batteries. We have that going in common here.
No, but I can't start the car. Oh man, at least I'm at Costco. Hopefully they can find me somebody to jumpstart me. Good Lord. Yeah,
if you hang out there for long enough, Kent Swanson will be there and he'll help you.
That's true.
He called into Sports or Leisure because he was stuck at Costco because his car wouldn't start. So he called in.
You know what? It's just trying to help people get through their day. That's all we're trying to do, man. Keep going, Dylan.
Let's do potpourri.
All right, potpourri. You like this, Avery, that I'm doing myself, like just twice?
Oh, I love it when you do yourself.
I knew it.
Twice is even better.
I knew it. Avery, it's hard, okay? I'm trying to play both sides here.
Ooh.
Well, you were gone. I didn't play both sides.
Never take off again. Never go on vacation again, Jason.
Ever.
I got one from last week, Jason, that I did want you to hear. So this one is a oldie. So hang on.
Okay.
When at times you need to let the Brett Favre out. Pause. No. You need to let a gunslinger out.
All right, that's it.
I remember that one. To let the Brett Favre out was.
I caught myself pretty close, though, pretty quick. Pause.
Yeah, but you can't.
You can't catch yourself if you already said it. You didn't catch yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Established. You did not catch yourself.
So I almost caught myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Once you said it, it's not catching yourself.
Yes.
Catching yourself would be.
You realized you didn't catch yourself very quickly.
That's
there we go.
That's exactly right.
You realized you didn't catch yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I realized I was a dumbass real quick. That was the key.
Catching yourself would be. Sometimes you got to let the. Sometimes you got to let him be a gunslinger.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to let him go and do his thing, man. Mick, you really did your thing here today.
I did. This is my place where I do
stuff,
my
man.
best things, really.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for stopping by, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, anytime you're at the golf show.
Next year, this time, we'll see you. We'll see you. You know what? Why don't you stop by when we're at the Blue Hills Country Club? The
Okay,
Advent Health
there's
Championship
golf
coming up in May.
involved. I'm there. The only reason I show up at the station is because he's got his golf glove on his back at all times.
Yes.
So that's
You
golf.
never know. You never know when a golf game's going to break out.
You know, if you had your basketball shorts, you never know.
Never
Hey,
know.
you
You
know
always
what's
wear
gonna come
basketball
in
shorts
handy?
under the jeans.
Huh?
Going to come in here right now when I hit the little simulators.
There you go. Get it.
All right, we'll see. Dylan, great work back there. Golf show going on this weekend. The program up next.